Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bingo Club Open Grand Finals. We've got our lovely co-host here, Aggronio, joining us for this completely incredible grand finals between two of the most talented DLC bingo players I think I've ever seen in my life. We've got Jack here on the red side. We've got SÆSAE here on the blue side. Aggro, you have competed against these two, and you know these two very well, so I'm going to kind of let you take it away, kind of describe the matchup here, what you expect out of it, and everything like that.
Yeah, so for those who aren't aware, Jack and Say here, they started playing when Season 4 was announced. When Domo dropped the mod, they've been playing probably at least 5-10 games a week. Like, Jack made huge strides in finding out techs with new players. Say has been right there alongside of him. We've been learning and exploring the mod, different techs that the brawlers did, exploring our own different ways of pathing and strategies. Jack, very, very good player. One of the favorites to win, I would say. Say also extremely, extremely good. I think what we're gonna see in this match is two players that have played against each other a lot. And because of that, I would expect to see lots of metagaming here. Both of these players know each other. Say tends to go for lots of big map plays. He wants to get one or two early squares and then rush out to the map to see what he can pick up on. And Jack is very similar, but he's an aggressive late game player. He wants to set up threats early to like put pressure on an opponent while grabbing stuff along the way to try and make these aggressive late game plays. So you might see him, let's say, get a couple not important squares early just to set up 2 or 3 squares in the late game that might threaten a line that he can then ruthlessly go for and tackle, or force Say into an unfortunate position where he has to go for a square that he wants him to.
Nice. That's cool. And it's always really exciting when you see players who know each other really well. You get to see not just your basic like bingo lines that are played by everyone, because they know how to play around that. They know how to play around each other. So that will be really, really exciting. I wanted to give you guys a heads up before we go into this any further. Unfortunately for us, we did not forget this. Unfortunately for us, our wonderful players are not Twitch streamers. So we do not have them linked for you to check out, which is very, very unfortunate. Hopefully one day they'll change that. They'll get to share their wonderful, wonderful talent with the rest of the world. But we do get a little sneak peek into this today, thanks to the lovely, lovely ability to broadcast. So that's going to be that for the technical side of things. I think we should be just about ready to get into it. If you're ready, Aggronio.
Yep, our players are ready to go. Looks like our ref is ready to go, and we have a board ready to start the match. So
perfect. All right, then I will signal our refs that we're ready to go, and I think we can go ahead and get this match started.
Awesome. I will be starting the countdown here for our players.
Alrighty. Center square, what's it going to be? I was too slow.
Two-handed sword talisman.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one. If I'm not mistaken, Aggro will be helping me out a little bit here. I have played bingo. I'm fairly experienced in what bingo is, and I play a lot of rando in the DLC, so I know like the map or whatever, but I am not a DLC bingo player. There is a lot here I don't know. So if I'm not mistaken, this would be a pretty rushable center square, right?
So this is a really interesting example of a center square, because the two-handed sword talisman is something that you could go for off rip, but it's never going to be your first square, but it can be. So a player could go for it, although I highly doubt we're going to see that. I think what we're more likely to see is a player go and set up something like larval tiers, 2 full DLC armor sets, bowls, and then position themselves into the two-handed sword talisman. However, we have a unique position where the two-handed sword talisman is also in the same line as Rugalea on the bottom left to top right diagonal, and also in the same line as the two-headed turtle talisman, which is in that center column.
I see.
And if you're not aware, there is a set of cascading tombstones that you could jump down near the two-handed sword talisman to get the two-headed turtle talisman very quickly after picking up that square.
Okay. So we might see someone in this particular situation. It's not completely unlikely to see someone rush center square because of the synergy with 2 other squares on the board here. Then.
Yes. Although I will say, I think it's more likely that a player is either going to A, go for DLC armor sets, because it's most likely the quickest thing to go for, and then get the two-handed sword talisman. So I think that's your fastest square to pick up and get the two-handed sword talisman.
Mm-hmm.
On the other end, if they're looking at that center column and want to put a threat on the center column and make their opponent go run over there, you could see a larval tears play. And it's not a bad play because you also have Quailine and Bellerot and Bowls on the board. So grabbing some Graces near 3-path is actually kind of important this match.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I wonder how. I'm really, really curious to see, because it seems like it's an unorthodox rush for sure, but I wonder if players are going to play around center square, or they're just going to bum rush it and try and race for it. It sounds like it could go either way here, but we are off to the races here. Both players are exiting their fog wall, immediately going towards Scorched Ruins.
Looks like we're going to see backhand blades into 2 armor sets, or maybe just rush right to Shadow Altus and get that two-handed sword talisman. Looks like nobody's looking at the larval tears play or the bulls play.
I see here.
Now,
Yes.
if they pick up the backhand blades and position themselves towards 3-path, very likely they'll be going for bulls, but I think the positioning here is get to Shadow Altus as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it looks like it. Both of them just immediately going for Tombstone skip here. Jack not even grabbing a Grace by Scorched Ruins here.
Jack not grabbing backhand blades tells me that he's not going for armor sets. He's looking to just immediately get that two-handed sword talisman push.
Mm-hmm.
Either that, or he's trying to make a presence elsewhere in Shadow Altus. You can get larval tears in Shadow Altus after you set up there, because there is a larval tier over by one of the armor sets, and there's also a larval tier over by the Quailine Church where he invades you. So he might be looking to set up Shadow Altus and maybe potentially go back to get larval tiers, go back to set up a weapon after he's made that threat present with the center square.
Nice. Gotcha. I wonder how this is, because if they're both going for the center square right here, unless Jack makes some egregious error, him skipping that Grace down by Fort of Reprimand, Scorched Ruins, is going to put him ahead, and which is going to be really interesting. We'll see what's going to make a bigger difference. Is getting that center square immediately, or is it going to be the extra little bit of setup that SÄSAE has down here in Gravesite?
That's going to be really interesting when it comes to pivoting for the second square of the match.
Mm-hmm.
So if SÄSAE already has a weapon and he already picked that up, it's not too much of a detour to go from that Scorched Ruins Grace to go pick up your weapon, but it is a bit of a run for you to go for backhand blades from the very first Grace, and that could save him an extra 30 seconds if he needs to go kill something as the second square.
It very well could. And getting that weapon set up, getting those kill squares earlier, especially if you assume that like say doesn't grab that grace right here, that you're both just bum rushing the center of the square, you could be really caught off guard by all of a sudden like getting to a fight, getting halfway through, and then say marks that fight square. That's a very, very big difference maker to know that your opponent has set up a weapon a little bit earlier than you. Is it as big as the center square, especially with those combos that you were mentioning? I guess only time will tell. I don't know what your opinions are on that.
The diagonal probably isn't too big of a deal because it has Ulcerated Tree Spirits and St. Trina's Smile, which are on opposite ends of the world, so to speak. But that center column could be a bit of a threat, and it does kind of make you go, hey, maybe I need to go back and grab Larval Tears real quick, which if you're in a situation where you're doing a square you don't want to, and Jack has sort of prepared for that scenario, he gets Two-Handed Sword, and then he pivots back to do armor sets, get his weapon online, maybe do bowls, pick up a couple quick squares, get... oh, look, it's like we're going for cookbooks from Jack, not the talisman.
Interesting.
I actually kind of overlooked the cookbook squares. The cookbooks is very, very good synergy with Two-Handed Sword Talisman because the second cookbook is on the way to the talisman.
Interesting. Okay, so Jack probably going for that synergy right there. I'm surprised to not see because Kindred of Rot cookbooks and 4 cookbooks.
Kindred of Rot
mind. Because I was
in that
just
same line there.
Yeah, I was just looking at 4 unique cookbooks. I'd completely missed Kindred of Rot. That is probably going to net a very large advantage, assuming Say doesn't just bum rush it all the way to Two-Handed Sword Talisman. Which it looks like he's doing, and it looks like if that's something that's in Jack's scope, he might get a little bit of a rude awakening here.
Yeah. I think that this is an interesting play. We kind of called how important the Two-Handed Sword Talisman is off rip. And it looks like Say is taking a path to just grab a little bit of value wherever he can, but still rush it. So he's grabbing 1 Kindred of Rot cookbook. He's grabbing 1 grace towards setting up a weapon. And I think that we're going to see this play out in a way of he gets that center square, but he loses some of the things that he set up, but not everything that he set up.
Yeah, Save really going for more non-committal. Yeah, there's that Kindred of Rot mark right off the bat.
First mark of the match.
Which, that's not too far behind where you are, but it's far enough behind where you are. I think if you're going for Two-Handed Sword Talisman, you're like, okay, as long as I don't mess up my movement, I should have this one in the bag. Whereas Jack has no idea what Say's going for.
Yeah. Say knows that he's ahead, so he has no reason to pivot off here. If anything, he could greed for a grace. So if we see him pick up a grace here, looks like we're seeing Jack do what I kind of called out, except he's ignoring the Two-Handed Sword. He saw that 2 full DLC armor sets hasn't been marked yet, which normally you'd expect to see marked here in about 2-3 seconds.
Yeah.
So he knows that he's not going for armor sets off rip. He beat him to Kindred of Rot cookbooks. He knows that he's not doing Larval Tears. He knows that he's probably not doing Queeline and Bellarot. So he's kind of looking like he set up a block for the scariest threat on that Two-Handed Sword Talisman, maybe. And now he's going to try and pick up some of that extra value.
Very, very smart play. Jack really being like, Say definitely playing more safe, right? Say definitely playing like very, like you were mentioning, conservative, setting up multiple things so that if he loses one thing, he's not screwed anywhere else. But Jack just like really aware here. He's taken all that information and just being like, okay, I don't win two-handed here. There's a good chance that he's ahead of me if he hasn't marked any of these other squares, and just moving along to the faster squares, kind of like you said, playing around, mitigating threats. Already we're seeing that these two players know each other quite well and know what the other player likes to do just from the first play of the board here.
Yeah, I think that this is a very aggressive play from Jack that we're seeing, where he sees that there is a huge reason to go for two-handed sword talisman, but he's like, that's a bit of a run, right? It sets up Rugalea, it sets up two-headed turtle. However, because there's so much rush on this board, right? There's 4 different types of cookbooks. There's 2 Kindred of Rot cookbooks. There's 3 larval tiers. There's 2 armor sets. There's bowls. There's a lot to rush on this board. So he's like, let me make him think I'm going for the two-handed sword talisman with Kindred of Rot cookbooks, force him into going that play, and then maybe going back and picking up those early squares, because now he's ahead on larval tiers or armor sets, and SÄSAE doesn't know which one he went for.
Exactly. And we do see Jack doing the larval tiers right now. Collecting all of those really quickly. SÄSAE picked up a cookbook, so SÄSAE not just giving up cookbooks, which is fine by any means. If I'm understanding the square correctly, just because you got 2 cookbooks doesn't mean you still have 2 cookbooks towards 4 unique types, right?
Yes. So he needs 4 unique types. I do not remember if he grabbed the first cookbook in the swamp, which is a Greater Potentates cookbook, but I know for certain he picked up the Fire Prelate cookbook and the Kindred of Rot cookbook. And if he did grab that first one, then we're going to see him go into a camp up here and grab the last unique type of cookbook, which will put a block on that line.
Really, really smart play. Yeah, they're really recognizing the threats the other ones are putting. Yep, larval tiers here. So already center square halfway mitigated. Jack just knowing how powerful that threat is and looks like just doing everything in his power to try and shut it down so that way they can force it into a long game. Oh, SÄSAE getting a little stuck in the tent there.
That tent is a little bit more sticky than you think, because the 2 poles at the front of the tent kind of block you in.
Yeah, and it turns out the actual enemies there, not the randomized enemies, are a little more scary.
Yes. Also, he does have to be concerned, because if you do get stuck in that tent, the big furnace golem out front did see him, aggroed onto him, and it has a move where it could just fire off a bunch of fireballs, and if you're stuck in that tent, it can just lock you in and make you take the full force of its inferno.
Oh, man. So that's why we see the instant quit out. Not even going to risk anything like that happening.
All right, so we might be seeing why he ignored that Scorched Ruin Grace, going for Great Katana here.
Is that... So that... At the end of Bingo Brawlers, this is like all the familiarity I have. Pretty much everyone was done with Great Katana. Is it still very powerful, though, if it's a weapon you like?
So, Backhand Blades is faster after you get Dex Online on every major boss in the DLC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Great Katana is still the fastest option for not bosses.
Okay.
So with Logre, NPC dropped weapons, bowls, all of those can be done incredibly quickly with Great Katana.
And we don't see a whole lot of Remembrance on the board. The only Remembrance I'm seeing right off the top of my head is the one with Thrusting Shield only. So in that case, I can see why you might just consider Great Katana. I mean, of course, SÄSAE going for Backhand Blades, and Backhand Blades is never going to be bad, right?
Yes. So what I would look to see here on this board is SÄSAE might be looking at the later game squares in the game, right? So obviously Backhand Blade starts out DPSing everything outside of NPC fights post 20 decks. So if he's looking to maybe make a Hippo play, a Tree Spirits play, a play towards the late game with Rune level 85, he's going to have priority on that. And he can still kill all these NPC bosses with Backhand Blades. He doesn't need a Great Katana to do it.
Right. It's not necessary. It'll probably sounds like it's a little more optimal, but if you're as skilled as SÄSAE, you're probably going to find ways to make up that difference.
So interesting here. Did he speak? Did I miss Jack speaking to Moore and telling him to be sad forever? Or is he?
I thought I saw him run that direction. I kind of got a little distracted there a little bit. We'll I
Oh
suppose we'll
no,
see
is
in a
he going
second
for NPC invaders here?
here.
Which is an interesting call.
You got NPC invaders and Queeline on the board at the same time here. It wouldn't be too unthinkable.
It's an interesting call. It will give him a DLC armor set from Moore. So maybe he's looking to just do the Queeline here. Also, we're going to see the power of Savage Lion's Claw on Queeline.
What an Ash of War.
First combo, a third of his health already gone. And hopefully we'll see another combo here. The second usually pancakes him, and you could take this opportunity to get some poking attacks off and just Frost proc, Bleed proc, dead.
What a beautiful NPC fight there. We're going to go ahead and switch it on to SÆSAE right here, though, who has entered the Hippo fight.
Yep.
Also just completely shredding right here. Backhand blades. Man, so you put lightning on them straight away.
So
like
we
SÆSAE
saw
does.
that on his way to the tent when he quit out, and this is a big reason why he quit out, he grabbed a Shadow Realm Rune 4, which gives him enough money to get up to, I believe, 23 decks. And at that point, it increases your damage by about 10%. Just that one Shadow Realm Rune 4. And with the Lightning Affinity, it's worth it. Hippo's in water. That's bonus damage.
Yeah, and just shredding Hippo here. What a clean fight. We'll switch back over to Jack here, who is continuing this NPC invaders line. Just crouch poking. Poor Moore doesn't know what to do.
Also, to explain to any of our chatters who might not be super aware of what's happening here and why Moore is invading. So Moore is coded in the game to invade you after you've killed 2 Kindred of Rot. But if we see, Jack only killed 1. So what happens is, for some reason, the game codes Queeline as that invader there as though he's a Kindred of Rot. So it counts as 2 Kindred of Rot deaths, and Moore will invade you after killing that 1 Kindred of Rot, which is the fastest way to get him to invade you.
What a beautiful set of game knowledge there. And Jack also identifying a threat that I looked over, the 2 DLC armor sets into the invaders, into Queeline potentially if he really wants to get greedy into it. This looking dangerous. Also, the Jack's double jump being stolen because, Elden Ring. I don't know.
So there's actually something really interesting. On this set of rocks, if you were in that little crevice of rocks, it eats your double jump. We don't know why, but it's actually fairly consistent that that specific patch of rocks on TLA skip eats your double jump.
Very interesting.
I also do like this. He went for armor sets, but he's not closing out on invaders. He has 2 invaders killed, but with the cookbooks, I think he's identified that SÆSAE is not looking at invaders yet. And so he's wanting to grab some sort of value here, maybe looking at the 2-headed turtle talisman, which if he could get, there is a revered ash down here as well. And maybe he's thinking, if I could get 2-headed turtle and NPC invaders, maybe I could push SÆSAE into going Bellerot, which doesn't have a ton of value this board.
Mm-hmm. And it does look like that's kind of what SÆSAE is doing. SÆSAE already making his way through Bellerot, grabbing a revered spirit ash along the way. But
well, this is good because Jack is wasting a bit of time. So there is ulcerated tree spirits down here too. So he's like setting up for later game as well. He's going to steal away the turtle, but SÆSAE already ran that way. So now Jack's sort of making up time. So now SÆSAE is running through Bellerot, which is kind of what it looks like Jack might be wanting to force him into doing. Like, hey, go Bellerot, well, I could do something else. But if he's already making his way there...
Yeah, you can't force someone into something that they're already doing, right? That's a complete wrench into Jack's possible plan here.
And what I'm seeing somebody mention is SÆSAE prepping for Letter Rune. We're seeing these players do a lot of prepping squares and not closing them out immediately. And I think a lot of that is I see what my player is marked, right? Like my opponent is marked. You got Kindred of Rot cookbooks into larval tiers into armor sets. He's probably looking to pick up another quick square, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe he's going to go for something like the two-headed turtle talisman, right? Which he does.
Which he just marks.
Maybe he was going for bulls, maybe he was going for two-headed turtle, but that's probably why he's like, okay, he's not killing Hippo and going into Letterune.
Yeah, so say looking behind-ish right now, but when you take all of that into mind, we still got a pretty darn even game as far as prep goes.
Interesting to see what he goes for here, if he looks for South or if he looks for that Invader. And if he goes for that Invader, he does have this interesting combo of Queeline and Bellerot, ADM Invader, and the Letta.
Which could be interesting here. We'll see if he goes for the skip. No, he's jumping right down into it. This might be
jumping right into ADM. He's going for Invader. This could be a really good block because Jack put a bunch of value into killing 2 invaders, and if he's going for Queeline and Bellerot here, I mean, SÄSAE's there. SÄSAE has to pivot back there, or he could potentially lose the square. And this is not a unique invader for Jack, so he won't be able to mark the square off of killing Queeline here.
What a fast ADM kill, by the way. Backhand blades really showing that there's still no slouch at killing invaders.
Looks like SÄSAE's making his way here. I would not be surprised if he takes the Grace and then leaves.
And if he does and pivots back to Queeline here, that's going to be devastating. Well, not devastating for Jack. Jack can still kill Queeline and get a square out of it, but man, is it so much less value than you were hoping to get. And SÄSAE pivoting right back.
This is what we were talking about earlier when it's like, they know what they're going for based off of what squares are marked. It's, I know how long I can hold priority on something. Split progress. Now, I will say it looks like SÄSAE's in the lead here. He is not. Great Katana. We saw how fast that kills Queeline. With 23 decks, this is not going to kill Queeline nearly as quickly. So if he's not careful and he gets tagged a couple times by Queeline, we can see Jack catch up and get the kill before him.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. It does seem unlikely, right? SÄSAE's proven... gets tagged with the full combo right off the bat. Maybe I won't say anything else. Already commentator curse.
Queeline is a menace with the jumping attacks and his Ash of War that can hyper armor through a lot of your attacks. You have to be careful with backhand blades. He plays it really smart, though. Very aggressive on the Queeline. Gets the mark. And we're going to see the mark happen right as Jack's entering that area, but Memory of Grace out.
I'm surprised to see, and maybe there's something I'm not seeing here, but I'm surprised to see Jack not just finish running over there, steal NPC invaders since he still has 2 down. Is there a particular reason for that?
So he doesn't know about ADM right now. And what could be happening is Jack is trying to greed out as much as he possibly can, value-wise, before getting invaders. Like, he got 1 square out of it. He's got 2 full DLC armor sets, right? So he's gotten 1 square out of the invaders play. And he might just be looking to hold on just a bit longer, see how much more map presence he can make before going back and closing out on that in hopes to snipe SÄSAE here. Now, if SÄSAE already talked to Letta and goes immediately for this invasion, he should get the square.
Yeah, I think it was smart. I think the play is smart from Jack because, like, you've shown that you have plenty of prio on NPC invaders right here, but it just looks like SÄSAE's making the right call. Like, SÄSAE's making the call of Jack is holding prio. So
I also want to point out the strategy for Jack's side of the screen. On Jack's end of the game, he was looking at, I'm going to set up this 2-headed turtle to make SÄSAE go Queeline Bellerot. And then SÄSAE marked Queeline Bellerot at around the time he'd expect SÄSAE to mark Queeline and Bellerot. So he might be thinking that his play worked. He succeeded in making him go do Queeline and Bellerot when he wanted to. And so he doesn't know about the ADM kill.
Yeah, he doesn't know what setup was done. Very, very, very clean kill. This does count as an invader, right? Because you're helping out Hornsent.
Yes. So we're going to see Invader
Good
vanquished.
mark.
Yeah, Bloody Finger vanquished there.
Yeah.
So that is an Invader kill.
I always get so confused because of the like if you do the red sign, it's because you're the invader on the red sign. But I guess if you're helping out Horn Scent, right, Let is still the invader.
Yep.
So
And now we're going to see a letter rune also pop up, which is going to tell Jack that, yeah, I got greedy. If I close out on that invaders, I would have taken away even more value, and ADM could have died very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not a bad call by any means, but like you said, it's greedy, and Jack's showing you could get punished for greed right now. You can get punished pretty hard for greed because SÄSAE's taking a square lead. It went from this beginning here, where like we were talking about, SÄSAE's prep. Oh, that is a
tragic death. That was a really bad
That's
combination of moves.
a hippo moment right there. We like
Jack kind of
that.
greeted the heal there. He backed off to go and get the heal, and Hippo is very good at punishing you when you run away from him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just stay close to Hippo.
I will say it's probably a good death though,
map.
because the value for Hippo is gone.
True. Good point. Yeah, because what else do you need that side of Shadowkeep for? Nothing really, right?
Yeah. And he's in the very, very dangerous position here. We see him shaking his head. Shaking his camera. Because look at that top left to bottom right diagonal that is starting to form for SÄSAE. That's something that he can hold priority on for quite a while, but he can't ever forget about. Because Bale and sort of Light and Dark and Thrusting Shield doesn't have a ton of synergy on this board. But he can't ever just let that go for free.
No, absolutely not.
Also, we're going to see Loger synergizing with NPC dropped weapons.
Mm-hmm. And also blocking that row 2 right there. It looks like SÄSAE just wants to shut down this board.
Running towards Rugalea and just instantly take away that value.
Smart call. From
He's looking at the dejection gesture. Now, we have seen Jack come back from these unwinnable positions. I wanted to point something out really quick that I do really, really like from SÄSAE in his play. Jack is a very, very good and methodical player. You could see we're talking about his plays, his strategies, his lines. He's holding everything for as long as he can to get as much value. SÄSAE is very quick.
Yeah.
SÄSAE has held records for some of the quickest marks on squares we have. He's practiced getting stuff very quick, very efficiently, and playing hyper aggressive when he needs to.
Yeah, and I think SÄSAE really, really, really showing that off right now. I mean, we just saw probably the world's most perfect counterplay to a really smart play, just based off of speed and speed alone, right?
Yeah. Also, I will say, I'm really interested to see how much Jack respects SÄSAE's NPC dropped weapons. Because he has two options here, right? His first option is he ignores it, says, if you want to do Tree Spirits and Bale, be my guest. Like, I have a grace over by Tree Spirits. I know that you probably haven't been backside because of Letter Rune. So, Tree Spirits, okay, you're going to run all the way to backside, be my guest. And same thing with Bale. They're very, very long squares.
We've got Shadow here who wants to see Bale with a thrusting shield. We can only hope. Did they decide to count Bale as a remembrance boss?
Bale is a remembrance boss for this. Also very clean fight on the ADM. That will be second NPC dropped weapon.
Super clean.
Oh, third NPC dropped weapon. I missed what his other one. Oh, he killed Egon?
Yeah, Egon really quickly while he was just sitting on the floor roaring at him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Bull is obviously
my bad.
Disappear.
So much happening in these matches and so much back and forth. I do miss some things.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the DLC is just so high pace is what I'm noticing. Like, we're at 27 minutes at a 5-7 game. By the way, can we just slow down and talk about that? Regardless of who is winning right here, we are 27 minutes into the game at a 5-7 board. These are a couple of unbelievably fast and talented players we've got here.
Also going to throw this out. Looks like SÄSAE is going for the Revered Ash. So that is currently in a column that Jack has shown some amount of presence in. So now we're going to see him potentially go backside here and start setting up what is in backside. So Tree Spirits is obviously a big one that works towards his line, and he's killed ADM, which makes him go towards Bale. So he's going to grab some value along the way just in case he does get sniped here. But this could be a very clean game from SÄSAE if he does choose to just rush in on that bingo threat, because Jack will be behind on getting Bale set up.
It's very true, very true. And it's not like SÄSAE has bad progress towards ulcerated tree spirits by any means at all. But seeing the way SÄSAE's played so far, I think I'd be surprised. Oh, the jump just not doing anything, eats every single needle.
This is also where we're seeing a big difference in the backhand blades. I mentioned those lightning backhand blades and how just getting them off rip is very strong. We saw how quick SÄSAE's Hippo came down, and this is great katana. You know, it's supposed to be the early game killer, but it just can't keep up the DPS against Hippo.
Yeah, even the legendary dual status on a very dual statusable boss just doesn't seem to be enough. Though I will say that fight was a very good fight. Good job to Jack.
The good news about the Great Katana is you can kind of script Hippo, which is something that we didn't really get to see here. But hopefully in future matches, we could see that showcased.
Yeah, SÄSAE really beelining these revered spirit ashes, I think, at this point. I think just wants to, because is there another, once he gets column 2 and row 1 shut down, that's the board, right?
Yes.
So I think that's the plan for SÄSAE here. Shut down the board, because like if you make, especially if you get ulcerated tree spirits here, yeah, you can go finish it off. You have prio, but if you make Jack do Bale here, you just win. There's almost no chance in either a majority game or just a bingo race right here. You just win. So that would be obviously, I think, the ideal row 1 block. We'll see if he even goes for that or if he just goes for something to make it a majority game.
I will be surprised to see Thrusting Shield, but I also know that both players can do this on practically any boss in the DLC.
Of course they can. Yeah, very, very talented players we've got here. DLC incants. Talk to me about that square. How fast is that one?
So we're going to see some players move into what we call the DLC incant route. Like, this is the route for it. And especially with Sword of Light and Darkness on the board, this is going to be really, really good. So on your way to Rao, you have 4 incant pickups that are very, very easy to get. So first off, we have Salsa here that we're going to see SÄSAE come up on. That drops an incant, the Rain of Fire. Then we have the next one, I believe, is going to be Crucible, aspects of the Crucible Bloom. After getting aspect of the Crucible Bloom, you could take the skip up to get the Sword of Light and Darkness, and on your way back around, there is, by Romina, the Divine Bird Feathers, and
bow from SÄSAE.
we have the Divine Bird Feathers incant, and you have the Pest Thread Spears incant, both in that like Romina room.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so very, very, very strong route right here. It does look like SÄSAE just skipped over Salza. Was that his name?
So he's in a situation now where the best thing for him to do is to skip Salza and leave him for last. Because you have a Grace right next to Salza, just take the elevator back down. Mm-hmm. But if you die here, you lose so much time because the Grace right before Salza is actually really bad. Like, you don't want to run to Salza, die there, and then have to go back. You'd much rather be in a position where you're ahead, and then that's just your last one. And if you die, you just have to take the elevator.
SÄSAE with the world's sketchiest tree skip. Oh, my Lord.
Fun fact, as long as you could get another double jump after you've landed the skip.
Sweet. So do you see these talented DLC players, like if they don't get the double jump, they're just quick enough to quit out there?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, still
The double jump is more of a panic. It's I didn't get the hard landing. If I do the double jump, maybe I could jump off the tree real quick, and that will save me.
Gotcha. Well, he nailed it. Technically speaking, there was nothing wrong there, but definitely spooky. We'll see if Jack does the same here.
Also, fun fact, if you do the jump off of the tree, you're technically a little bit higher, so you don't take fall damage.
Oh, interesting.
Yep, looks like SÄSAE is going
I get
this
that every once in a while,
route.
but I never know why, so it's good to know.
Yep, so we saw Jack got that hard landing right there. This is all just about positioning. You'll see the soft landing happen a lot more with players who don't stop to position or reposition themselves and get like a really good lineup.
Which neither of these players did, right? They both just sent it.
They stopped a little bit to make sure that their lineup was good, but yeah. Yep. Looks like he might not be getting this. Oh, is he? Torrent is about to die, but he got the revere dash. Perfect.
Yeah,
by the way, very niche knowledge check. This is a revered ash that I wouldn't expect most players to know about, unless you are a summoner.
I can tell you.
Also, we're going to see a little tree skip here. For those of you who don't know, you can land on the very tip top of this tree and jump on an invisible bridge.
Oh, that's so cool. What a neat skip. There's going to be a stone sheath sword right here.
Yep, so he has the first half for the Sword of Light and Darkness. I would expect to see him go Jory towards Jory Catacombs at some point to get the, I believe it's Unte Ruins, where he could pick up the Sword of Light.
Very good. Very good. That's a
Jack also knows about this revered Spirit Ash. Nice.
Just, both players just with obviously impeccable knowledge of all their locations. It's really cool to see people who don't know just one line for a square, because I'm sure there's like a rush line for revered Spirit Ash, right? But you can see they know if they're going this direction, they can pick up a revered Spirit Ash here in Rao or revered Spirit Ash there.
I wouldn't be surprised if SÄSAE is now extremely close or has that revered Ash square. We saw him pick up at least 2 revered Ash in Bellerat, and he picked up 2 in Morth Ruins. And now he picked up 1 more, which means he only needs 2 more revered Ash to close out on that square. And the 2 are in Bellerat, so he can make his way up to Dancing Lion, which he can kill with a Thrusting Shield. Yeah, and that will get him revered Ash and a potential boss Thrusting Shield only.
Beautiful.
Also, I'm going to go ahead and point this out real quick. There is a Pest Thread Spear's Kindred of Rot here that can absolutely delete you if you're not careful. So looks like SÄSAE plays it well. He does not get deleted.
And even quits out. Yeah, just no thanks. No,
just
none
don't
of that,
even
please.
So I believe that is his 5th because we saw him grab... Oh no, I believe that is his 4th because we saw him pick up the revered Ash here from Jack, which is one of the 2 that you could go for. This is a bit of a longer... No, this is the route that doesn't take you past the Sword of Light and Dark, I believe. So he's ignoring that Sword of Light and Darkness, it looks like, and just looking to get the Incants instead.
Very, very good quit out right there.
Oh, I am sorry. It is his 5th because of Hippo. Hippo also drops an Incant as well.
Oh, yeah, you're correct. Oh, wait.
So Morth Ruins drop down here. This is an Incant in the chest, so this will be his last Incant, and he'll mark that square, putting Jack in a very rough situation.
Yeah, that is a really huge block right here. And 1 more square away, which he has prio on both Sword of Light and Darkness and Revered Spirit Ash, which, like, I'm sure he was split setting up so that he'd have 1 of each, but little does, I mean, he doesn't know for certain, of course, but he's got prio on both now at this point, so SÄSAE can really go for whichever one he wants. It does look like, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's choosing Sword of Light and Darkness right now, though.
Yes, I think Sword of Light and Darkness is his best play. He doesn't know where Jack is, but yeah, he's just looking to. He's playing this mental game where he's like, "I'm ahead of Jack. I haven't seen Jack mark anything in a little bit. And I'm just going to, because the last thing he marked was bulls in front of Ensis, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was 10 minutes ago. So he could be prepping a lot of different things. And based off of the board that I'm seeing play out here, Say might be thinking he's looking at Ulcerated Tree Spirits. He's looking at Bale, right? He's trying to get set up for those squares to get blocks, and I'm just going to block everything else that he's doing and go for majority. Well, he's wasting time.
Yeah, and poor Jack here, right? I think Jack recognizing that play and doing the exact same thing. You can see he's got revered. Probably at this point now, he's got revered Spirit Ash, double prepped up to the same point that Say does, and did the double prep on Sword of Light and Darkness. But because he was already behind, had a little bit of trouble with the Sword of Light and Darkness, or the Stone Sheath Sword skip there on top of it. He's gonna lose both.
Yep.
There's
unless
a
this
very
jump
high
rolls
likely.
Say a bit here, because it is a bit of a tight. Nope. Good players.
Sage is playing immaculately. Oh my
Yep.
goodness. And what a brutal. Jack stops.
Also, there is
Jack
a revered Ash
stops
over
because
here as
that's
well.
brutal.
So Say is going to get a revered Ash. I'm not sure who is ahead on the revered Ash race. I'm not sure. That's 7 from Say. That's how many you need to reach level 5. So
Okay.
he
And
has
I
it.
believe-
I think he's going to grab the Grace here and then use this Grace to sit down and just level his revered Ash.
I believe they're exactly tied. So I believe unless this loading screen goes really fast here, I think SÄSAE wins. Oh, it's going to be so close. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so close.
I
What the
don't know
heck?
how this is going to play out,
Who
to
wins?
be honest.
Oh, Jack doesn't have enough. Never mind.
Jack doesn't have all of them,
Yep,
and Say
Jack-
wins it.
Oh,
wow. Yeah, I thought he was
just-
one short because I'm not sure if he did the Morth Ruins run.
Oh, you're
Jack
right.
didn't go through Morth Ruins and pick up those 2 revered Ash.
No, you're totally right. And yeah, the Jack making the probably correct play, but just not realizing that Say was also gonna do it. I think it's like you said. What on earth doesn't Say have ready? So as Jack, what do you like prep? You try and go for something like that because it seems like, okay, Ulcerated Tree Spirits probably seems like Say has a good advantage on. Obviously, everything in the South, Say is just winning. So I guess I'll just go for this. Nope. SÄSAE just happened to pick the one that Jack picked too, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, a very unfortunate situation. And I think what we're going to see Say go for here is setting up progress in a region that he doesn't think Jack is in.
Yeah, which is...
Jack's been quiet for
call.
quite a long time. He doesn't know what's going on. So now Say is like, I could put some pressure over here towards Torch and St. Trina's Smile. Maybe we're going to see him do some map setup. I mentioned at the beginning that Say is a big map player. He likes to just have map presence on his opponent. And then based off of what Jack marks, that could determine what he goes for instead. Mm-hmm. So which looks like he is pivoting here. He's setting up some map progress in different areas.
Yeah, and honestly, that probably is just the correct play here. You've got a double square lead right here. The only way you lose this is if you get sniped over and over again. And the way you avoid getting sniped over and over again is just set up the entire map. Because then you have access to everything. If Jack does something, you're like, cool, so he's not over here, and you do that other thing.
Yeah. And to further iterate on this, because I do know, I see some people in chat kind of asking questions about whether to go for Bale or not. Bale is a fantastic play on this board. But what we're going to see here is Say is respecting the fact that Jack has been dark for over 10 minutes.
The double death.
So the reason he's not going for Bale is because Jack has been quiet for 10 minutes. And you know what takes 10 minutes to do? Set up and run to Bale. So he could be respecting that he could be going for that Bale play. And he's like, let me go set up some things that I don't think Jack is doing.
Yeah. Very, very just principled play. I think that's how I would put it. Just very principled, very conservative, which is the way you win these boards, is just assume you're in the worst scenario that you can be in, and you'll probably win.
So we got a really good naked fight going on, but I also want to bring up on SÄSAE screen, he died to those Kindred Rots, and he gave them an extremely large berth this time.
Yeah,
he is not gambling with that again.
All of a sudden taking the widest path available, which I don't blame. These, like, Kindred of Rots always sucked. The red ones are a whole new level. Nice jump there.
Also, I will give out a shout out here for Jack doing this naked strat. The reason he's doing that is a lot of Romina's attacks can be dodged positionally. And if you position yourself well, you could get some extra sneaky charged attacks in. Whereas maybe you'd have to do a double dodge or elsewise to dodge the attacks. So by going naked, he is light load and his rolls take him a little bit farther, which gets him into some positions where he could get charge attacks where normally he wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, on top of that too, Jack going for, oh my gosh, what
very unfortunate
RNG. Yeah, this boss fight is so close to just being an awesome boss fight, but the butterflies can really just troll in a lot of situations. The phase transition move just it's tough to deal with. It's tough to deal with.
I think we're seeing a little bit of panic from Jack. He's going to be as risky as possible, right? He's like, okay, I need to make some sort of play here. I need to get on the board. Let me just kill this Romina real quick. And so he's taking these really tight lines, like the fact that he's going for like these naked plays. It's like he's trying to do this as fast and efficient as possible by going for these risky charged attack plays and getting naked, which does lower the armor enough that you get 2-shot by Romina instead of 3-shot. And a lot of her attacks double hit.
Yeah, and don't forget that Rot procs so much faster. Yeah, there's the Rugalea mark from SÄSAE, by the way. Very, very clean fight. But Rot procs like 100 times fast. It's an exaggeration, obviously, but so much faster when you're naked. It's kind of, oops, wrong cam.
Very, very unfortunate there.
Yeah, I mean, and you're doing the right call. As much as it might not look like it from a spectator, because obviously Jack is dying, if you're not going for the fastest possible strats in these scenarios where you're down 5 to 11, it doesn't matter anyway. You kind of are forced into this risk-taking scenario now. So even though it looks like, oh, he's taking unnecessary risks, they are necessary. They just didn't happen to work out this time.
Yes. If you don't take the risk, you will lose 100% of games. And so it's more important to take those risks at the possibility of winning than it is to just play it safe and guarantee your loss.
Exactly. But yeah, unless something crazy happens here, especially because SÄSAE is just moving into south here and just, I think, has to realize at this point that he's got advantage pretty much everywhere. You can see, like, if you look at the bottom of the screen there, you can see him porting around all over the place, grabbing graces everywhere around the map. Unless SÄSAE throws, we're probably going to see this game one go to him.
Also, for those who might not be aware, he's going for the thrusting shield here in Shadowkeep. So he's looking at potentially setting up a remembrance with thrusting shield only. And while Jack is here fighting Romina with a great katana, SÄSAE does have the grace right outside of Romina. So he could upgrade the thrusting shield and fight Romina with thrusting shield.
Which would just be, and you know, just be a real momentum killer right there. That'd be an unfortunate way to lose. But that's the way bingo goes. That's the way bingo goes.
Sometimes you bingus, sometimes you bangus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just like SÄSAE setting up the early game in a way that just perfectly counters the way Jack happened to play the opening. Really, 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 really ridiculously good stuff. Yeah, and here comes SÄSAE. I'm not going full screen with Jack, by the way, because I'm worried I'm cursing it. So we're gonna stay dual screen and see if that makes the difference. Full screen curse. I swear it's real.
Yes, we have a bit of curses. We might need a curse counter somewhere in the future.
Yeah, it might
just
need
for
to
every time
happen.
that they get caster cursed.
because it's shown off to be a real thing so far.
Yeah, I do feel a little bit bad for Jack here. He is an incredible player. This is very abnormal for him. Normally we see him doing some of these remembrance bosses absolutely hitless. I think this could be a case of pressure. There's a lot on the line. It is a finals match. So you can't let nerves like not get to you, especially in a position where it's 11-5, you know?
It's hard to feel good about that situation. But the nice thing, if you're Jack, is like, you can just be like, cool, I made the wrong beginning play. SÄSAE just kind of did that and took advantage. This is 2 out of 3 though. We just move on to the next one here. We learn from our mistakes. We know that there was just like, because in a different world where Jack plays the opening a little bit differently, this is a much, much different board. So I think you can take solace in being like, okay, I played it wrong. SÄSAE played it right just for happenstance. We'll move on. Next time will be different.
This is also like a crazy situation where if Jack didn't hold on those invaders,
nice fight from Jack,
maybe, just maybe, this would be a hugely different game. Because then that line, which, mind you, Jack has basically disrespected this entire match, correctly so. Like, he wouldn't have had to worry about that at all. Maybe he could have gone for some riskier plays. He could have, if he was a little quicker to like the Letta invasion, but SÄSAE made a very sneaky play. And I think Jack made a couple gambas that didn't pay off.
Exactly. It was definitely a gambit, but like I think the top players also realized that when to play risky and when to make gambits. SÄSAE showing off why you make a gambit, because you could just win.
Also, I will note Jack did recently go on vacation, and SÄSAE has been swamped with work a little bit, so the remembrance fights might be a little bit rustier than they normally will.
Even so, SÄSAE looking quite clean with this thrusting shield. I always forget that the thrusting shield, good weapon. It's not like just bad. It's pretty decent.
The thrusting shield does insane damage. We're seeing some good yellow damage here. And what you'll really see is if you start counting how many hits it takes to get staggers, this thing does insane poise value.
Yeah, until, of course, Romina hops into the air and says, you wanted to stagger me? That's unfortunate. Yeah, that rolling attack there, very brutal to dodge. Very brutal to dodge.
So at this point, we're probably going to see some of that stagger wear off with a whiffed attack and 2 stally moves back to back.
Yeah.
Now another stalling
throw
move.
in another one, because why not?
Also, the good news about the thrusting shield, although we don't see it, I believe. Nice. My screen is it's a little small. I do believe that he's using cold, which is pretty good on the thrusting shield for getting that status as well.
I believe it's lightning. Very good fight from
Oh, it is lightning. It's very, very small. So lightning damage, good. Maybe not so much against Romina, but especially for, Jack is the one that would have had the cold.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you do see cold on that, it's very bad for specifically Gaius. Because Gaius has some pretty decent status resistance.
Unfortunately. Okay, Jack plays on. I saw Jack pause and stand for a little bit. I
would assume that's a thinking pause.
I think so.
Okay, who is that remembrance boss? What is he possibly going for? How can I possibly win from here?
Yeah, just
and I think SÄSAE is also making a great call on how he wins from here. So agreed. Jack is thinking rune level 85, right? He knows that was likely Romina because of sort of light and darkness. He's going for all these things, and SÄSAE is making a play of who in their right mind is going for Torch on this board. So let me go get Torch because nobody's doing that.
Exactly, which is like. That's how you close out these kinds of games. Yeah, you could you could theoretically like triple prep some squares too. That's another way to close out this board. But I think in Say's position, Jack has shown nothing that's saying he's anywhere near south. This is a terrible quote unquote square to be doing right now. Let's just close it out.
And so for some context, our ref here, Frisk, he did let us know the pause there. Jack typed in the match chat, kind of
I see it.
on to go for bail. Go for the bingo. Obviously, this is the finals. Play for the win, and that's what Say's doing. But
Jack,
that's why he paused. He's having some good fun with this, which good for Jack, keeping up high spirits.
Mm-hmm. That's how you come back the next game, is keeping those spirits high. Very and very fair call out. You know what? Jack, SÆSAE may very well win this game 1 here, but
also, if we want to go ahead and point out what Say's doing here, we're about to see him attempt torch skip. For those who have not seen this, he's going to attempt to do a double jump on falling ground. So if you run, get a jump at the right time. Ooh, looks like he did not pull it off. Caster curse. But what he's looking to do there is if you run on that falling breakable ground, there is 1 frame that you could jump off of it. And so what you do is you jump, buffer the jump, and then you're able to jump onto the platform there, and that platform is where the torch is. So he would have been able to mark it in about 3 seconds here.
Dang.
So we're going to see an awesome Mesmer here.
Full screen,
but hopefully we get to see torch skip in the future too.
No, we'll go dual screen here. I want to see this fight, but I also want to see Say get the final grab here before the final square.
Yes. Also, we could see how much time that torch skip saves. So he would have been able to mark it in about 3 seconds after that failed jump because it is the first item there. But now we're having to see him go all the way down here, get a key, run all the way back because you need the key. It's behind a locked door, and it's behind an invisible wall here that we're going to have to see him bust open. So yeah, it saves about a solid 40 seconds to a minute.
And there it is. What a beautifully played game by Say here.
Very clean match by Say and some absolutely brutal snipes.
Mm-hmm. Very brutal snipes. Also, I think showing off what we were talking about, these players know each other, and these players know what each other might want to do, what each other might want to hold on. And I think Say just got the better of knowing what Jack might have wanted to do in that situation. Very GG's though.
So are we going to do post-match on this here? Or
we can ask the players. I think personally, like, if you ask me, I would just stay in the mindset and let them play game 2 here. But let's go ahead.
I'll be messaging the players right now.
Cool. Yeah, ask them what they want.
Let them know how they want to handle this. I love seeing both players' perspective after the match. Let's go ahead. I'm going to make sure to capture a screenshot for this board. So that way we can maybe talk about it a little bit after the match. And
good call. Yeah, look at all that blue on the board, by the way. Just
also, we can talk about the match a little bit too, and what we saw. So I want to go ahead and shout out the 2 game plans just from the beginning of this match. Now that we've seen it played out, I think we could see what the players were going for and what they were looking at. So Say grabbed a little bit of value along the way while going for the 2-handed sword talisman. Okay, looks like Jack's looking to just want to take a quick break. Cool. Reset mental. So
I like it. So yeah, we could just talk about the board here a little bit. Mucho snipers is in Jack's word, by the way, and yeah, that was the roughest part about this. Is you and like it does obviously this is no like this isn't bringing SÄSAE down or anything like that, or it's not meant to anyway. But you do hate to see these games where both players played well, but one got on the other end of some really bad snipes, because it doesn't tell the whole story, right? And one of those snipes goes Jack's way. We're still going in this game. Refs or aggro or whoever does it, would you mind stopping the match really quick?
Sorry.
No worries. Because, one of those snipes goes Jack's way. We're still in this game right now. I would say as much as one goes Jack's way. We're still in this game. We're still playing right now. So it doesn't really tell the whole story.
Clean play from, I would say, SÄSAE's point of view, where we talked about at the very beginning of the match. We talked about how the two-handed sword talisman was this big play with a lot of synergy. It synergized with Kindred of Rot. It synergized with Rugalea. It synergized with two-headed turtle talisman. And so the game was centered around that center square. The question was, do you take it or do you not? I think Jack made a very good call of getting Kindred of Rot, which told SÄSAE, hey, I'm going to look at two-handed sword talisman, and kind of pushed him to continuing that on. Well, he pivoted away and was like, okay, now I'm going to get larval tiers. I'm going to set up armor sets. Let me get a weapon online. Let me look at, NPC invaders. And I think the clutch decision that SÄSAE made was he didn't mark Queenline and Bellerot, but he marked 2 armor sets. Mm-hmm. Armor sets could have been from Egon, which drops an NPC dropped weapon. And so you see him looking at those squares that it synergizes with. NPC invaders, Loger, dropped weapons. And he starts taking away these squares that Jack should have had prio on because he held it for just a little bit too long.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason that he held on to it for just a little bit too long is because he went for these greedy plays where he got as much map as possible, but SÄSAE was just quicker on the jump.
Yep.
Right? He set up the two-headed turtle talisman to be like, hey, I'm taking this value away from you that you set up with Rugalea, and now you need to go Bellerot, or I potentially have NPC invaders, which I could pair with Leta Rune, and then, yeah, you'll get Bellerot and Revere Dash, but that's 2 squares to 3.
Exactly.
But it didn't really go that way. And I think what we saw was SÄSAE play this masterfully, where he did capitalize on taking advantage of Jack holding off and going for some of those more value map plays.
Agreed. I also think there were a couple of times where I get the thought process behind it, but one that really sticks out to me is SÄSAE marks Queenline, but doesn't mark NPC invaders right then in that moment while you're walking to Queenline. Jack makes the call that SÄSAE doesn't have these invaders set up, goes and does something else before presumably closing it out. That's one of the many examples of greed that could go your way, maybe not going your way in the perfect world. He took that risk a couple too many times. I think you get focused a lot of times in bingo of, I just need to make a play to get back into this. And you end up giving away some stuff that maybe necessarily you didn't need to give up. You are on your way to Queenline as Jack. And yeah, you do throw away some time finishing out that square, but just giving your opponent the opportunity to take these combo squares can blow up in your face, right? It can blow up really, really, really hard. He has at least one NPC invader down at that point. There is downtime. So he could have had 2 in that downtime. It makes you wonder if that was the right call. And, from our point of view, it's really impossible to say. We're not there sitting there blind, just being like, what the heck did SÄSAE just do in the meantime? We get to see all of it. So could be a biased point of view, but also something to think about.
It's a really tough call because Jack made the objectively correct play. He saw Queenline and Bellerot, and he was like, that's your first invader? I'm going to go and start working on other things and then come back for that last invader now that I know that you are greeting for Leta.
Mm-hmm.
However, he had a bit of a slow hippo fight, which is what he was kind of setting up for.
Yeah.
And at that point, SÄSAE already had hippo dead. He had already like talked to Letta. He had already set up ADM. He was in a position where he was like, I'm ready to go. And so when he marked Queeline, he marked it far quicker than Jack would have expected him to.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jack played it correctly, but SÄSAE just like made the mental warfare game of saying,
Yeah.
you think I'm setting up map because I'm a map player. I'm making the aggressive play here.
He just made everything so hard to guess correctly on that board, which is brilliant play, and taking advantage of how each other thinks. And I'm not going to be surprised if we go into this next game and we see Jack make some major adaptations to be like, okay, SÄSAE, you're gonna play dirty like this? You're gonna trick me and play different than your normal style? Let's go. Let's throw down. Let's go into the mud a little bit.
Jack is a very, very how do we like we talk about Jack and SÄSAE being really good players, and I think part of that is they're very malleable in their play styles. SÄSAE loves setting up map and doing map plays, and we saw him this game make very aggressive calls to say, I could be splitting progress. No, I'm going straight for the two-handed sword talisman, and I'm only grabbing stuff that is on the way. We saw him go, hey, you think I'm going to set up map here because I'm dark? No, I've been aggressively going for squares that could have we're aggressively going for these squares that you were probably going for, and it got him a couple snipes. And I think from that point, it put Jack in this mental position of, how do I catch up? What do I have to do? And SÄSAE was like, okay, if I'm Jack, I'm in this position. What do I do to catch up? And I think he made some good calls and got some really good snipes. And SÄSAE is a very fast and efficient player, and we saw him take advantage of that.
Exactly. Absolutely. All right. Well, I think the players are going to be hanging out a little bit longer here. We're going to switch to a short break here just to make sure everyone's got enough time to sort of decompress and everything like that. So I'll pop back on some music. We will see you all shortly. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be ready for game 2. It's coming up real quick.
Searching all along, confessing while alone and on, without the clue, without a sign, without grasping it. The real question to be asked: where have I been? I'm a sharpshooter at post masquerade, hiding both face and mind, all free for you to draw. a sharpshooter. What else should I be? Please don't take off my mask, revealing dark. Moments of calm, nothing left to be found. A mirror right in front of me, that's where I found an empty glass, reflecting that's a truth. It's telling words not to be told. I need that mask. I'm a sharpshooter, masquerade, heart in both face and mind, all free for you to draw. I'm a sharpshooter, chained down to my core. Please don't take off my mask, my place to hide. I can't tell you how to see me. Just a cage of bones, there's nothing inside. Will it unleash me, burning down the walls? Is there a way for me to break? I'm a sharpshooter, post masquerade, hide in both face and mind, all free for you to draw. I'm a sharpshooter, have no face to show. Please don't take off my mask, my disguise.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are entering game 2 after a very entertaining game 1, of course. It was very, very, very fast. I think we barely broke the hour mark on that one. But now...
We did not break the hour mark.
Oh, we didn't? Holy...
No, that game finished in about 55 minutes.
What a speedy match. What a speedy match from these two players. Well, I don't know what you're hoping for, but I am praying for a little bit more of a slugfest on this one is I think what I want to see.
If we see a couple more remembrance bosses, that'd be amazing. Maybe some more South play. Neither of our players really went or prioritize South a lot. So I'd love to see some South. I'd love to see maybe some Anira Lim, some like big late game plays. That'd be awesome. I always hope for a PCR center square every game.
Exactly. I, like everyone else, want to see a PCR race. It
in the finals, that's always so hype. But
it never gets more hype than a PCR race, in my opinion. But I think our players are ready. Our refs have said that they are ready. I think we're good to start the match.
All right.
Boom. There's the countdown.
Looks like we have the countdown.
Center square, what did you think? I know what you're going to say. Come on.
PCR.
Whoa, no way. Dang. NPC
we
drop
got
weapons.
3 NPC drop weapons, which is good.
Yeah, that's going to be quite a center square right there. We've got 2 Blessings America on a diagonal. Would not be surprised to see someone rush that right off rip. I know that square unbelievably fast. What else do we got here that's really standing out to you, Aggro?
So I have a couple interesting takes to have here. Blessings America, I would say, is the most obvious starting play. It is probably the fastest thing that you could do, and it gets you working towards, if we see there is Radon on the board, there is Rolana, there is Mesmer, and so you have a very interesting play of going Scatualtis, killing Hippo, killing Rolana, and now you're set up to go do Mesmer, right? You have this very dangerous play of getting online early, killing some remembrance bosses early, and getting money, right? And that'll take you to just destroy the rest of the game, right? We have lots of remembrance bosses on this one, which is the opposite of the last one, right? We have Mesmer, Romina for the PCR. We have Rolana. You have Dancing Lion. You have Putrescence Knight. So that's on its own, that's 6 remembrance bosses.
6 possible remembrance bosses. And you can guarantee we're going to see one of those pretty quickly with Dupa Remembrance in top right corner square. One of the most powerful spots on the board you can possibly get is anywhere on a diagonal. Of course, center square. But
now I do want to bring out that diagonal too. If you look at the bottom left to top right diagonal, you have Queeline and Scorpion Stew in the same line. And important to note, that's on a board with Mesmer. You can lock yourself out of acquiring Scorpion Stew if you kill Mesmer.
Oh, that is a good point. And killing Mesmer early on this board, not a bad idea. We might see a player sack that without worrying about it one bit, without even thinking about it.
I don't think we're going to see a big Mesmer rush because Rolana is also on the board.
True.
So I think what we're going to see is a big respect play of whoever marks Queeline first is going to be in this position of holding that Scorpion Stew hostage, so to speak, but both players are going to want it because you can't really mark Mesmer until you mark Scorpion Stew. Exactly. You're in the finals. You can't just give up a square for free unless it's for a line. But however, like NPC dropped weapons, Jails, Rolana, Mesmer, and Deathrite Bird, like that doesn't clearly signal a fast, immediate line to go for.
Very true.
You could go get Moonrathel, Dane, and ADM, maybe kill Logers very quick if you're over by ADM. So you could kill Dane or Moonrathel very, very quickly with the setup of Graces, and then just get Egon and ADM, start going south, get a south jail maybe. Yeah, there's a lot of very, very good play because the Lamentor jail is right next to the Deathrite Bird. So
right.
You could see a good reason to Mesmer rush. You also have a very interesting play that I want to bring up here that I'm not sure either of our players are going to go for. you have Queenline and Bellerot and Scorpion Stew on that diagonal, and you could set up 3-path cross Grace, and with the 3-path cross Grace, that gives you a pivot to Queenline and Bellerot, Scorpion Stew, and you could go for the Bulls play early.
Oh, that is a very interesting point.
And Bulls play early does give you some money. We're seeing SÄSAE looks like he's doing that play where he's pivoting over towards 3-path cross.
Yeah, completely.
I think he sees the power of both of the players are doing this. They're ignoring the Blessings America and going into Shadow Altus.
Which you can't really blame him for. What else does Blessings of America really get you on this board? I mean, aside from obviously one of the fastest squares you can get, it's not going to progress you as much as this play here, getting the early Shadow Altus, getting all that stuff set up. And
it would give you Rolana and potentially Dupe. Rolana into Dupe is a way to block that diagonal. So if your opponent does go for the early Queenline and Bellerot, you could potentially see a play where it's like, I'll run to backside, get the Dupe. And it gets you a lot more money than your opponent will by taking the Bulls Queenline play.
That is a very strong point. But it doesn't look like... but the problem, obviously, is it's not the absolute end-all, be-all strongest play on the board, I think, is what both players are currently identifying and why they're both rushing the way that they are. I think they just want to be competitive on this really, really strong opening play here.
Yes. Also, this is going to give away right now whether they're thinking about Bulls or not, is if we see him sit down at this Grace and then pivot away to upgrade his weapon.
Which we got the sit
and
down.
Looks like
that's part one.
That is what he's doing. He's going to upgrade his weapon and kill Bulls. Looks like that is the play for both of our players, except Jack is doing a bit of tech where he does a Grace quit out. IRL time, it doesn't actually save too much time, but it does reset the enemy aggro, which makes him port out instantly, where he doesn't have to sit down at that Grace.
Yeah, Grace quit outs are probably not the play to go for in bingo, unless your computer load time is really, really, really good. They're fairly...
Oh, both of these players have decent computer load time.
Yeah, and like Jack's wasn't slow at all. So, I mean, they're fairly even. SÄSAE is a little bit ahead, but I'm going to say that has much more to do with the fact that SÄSAE skipped Scorched Ruins Grace than the load time has to do with it.
It's really interesting how skipping that one Grace makes a big difference.
Yeah. And
like 30 seconds ahead, like not even 30 seconds, like we could count it down here. He's maybe a solid 10, 12 seconds ahead of Jack. And he's going to be getting the first hit when Jack's just getting up that staircase. You know,
I will say, and I didn't think about this until I just witnessed it here. Jack going for the quit out instead of the sit down. He had to sit down at the Grace in front of Bulls anyway to level his Skidoo. So really, I don't think that was worth it at the end of the day.
No. Jack does love his Grace pivots and Grace quit outs. And while the Grace pivots are very good, the quit outs not so much. I will say we have our 5 times champion Bulls here, giving SÄSAE a bit of a hard time.
Yeah, it was a little sketchy for a
looks
second.
like he counted his riposte well, and this will be a kill.
Boom. Yeah, already.
Very, very nice. First mark on the board by SÄSAE.
And man, starting off with shades of the last game, already we're getting sniped here. But I don't think either player is too surprised or like dumbfounded to get sniped on this one. I mean, like, obviously Jack's shaking his camera. He's not going to be happy about it. But, you know, Bulls is very powerful. Going into Shadow Altus after Bulls, very powerful. I don't think either player is surprised to see another one going for it. You kind of know you're entering into a possible race. If you're not betting on your player going for Blessings of America, which if Jack was thinking that, maybe he's a little bit like, what the heck? How did this happen again?
I think what we're saying here is SÄSAE is a very logical player. He's going to go for the best possible play whenever possible, go for it off rip. What I really want to see Jack do here pivoting into game 2 is he saw, if I just do the most logical plays in the most logical sequencing, I'm going to lose the squares.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see him think of some more like unique and creative ways to get underneath SÄSAE and take squares away from him that he wouldn't expect. At times he might not be prepared for it.
Because if they've not to take away from Jack, but if they've shown anything so far as the the direction that these are going, the straight ahead races are going to be unbelievably hard to beat SÄSAE in.
It's also important to notice, and I think a lot of people don't think about this when it comes to racing. Look how SÄSAE is ahead of Jack, even though they were both going for the same play, and Jack immediately memory of graced out. The player who marks the square will always be quicker to the next square. So if you always rush for the next best play, you could find yourself in a position where it's snipe after snipe after snipe after snipe, because they always have a 2 or 3 second head start.
Yeah, Bingo God Rambler always taught me to think like this when you do get sniped or you're in a position that you need to like block something. Try not to instantly think about the best play. Try and think about the second best play that you can be going for. So that way you can like, if you think you're going to get sniped on Blessings of America, let's say, because SÄSAE did just grab Blessings of America, don't go for that.
I do
go
like
for
this a bit.
somewhere else.
So SÄSAE grabbed the first Blessing America, but Jack didn't. So Jack is thinking, I'm behind, I need to catch up, just run.
Yep.
But SÄSAE's thinking, I'm ahead, let's get a little bit of extra value along the way. Now, I will say he probably won't close out on this until at least getting the Morth Ruins Grace here. We could see him pivot back and just grab it really quick, saying, hey, you're not closing out on this, I will. But Jack is playing into that and saying, I'm not even going to look at it. It does not exist. The square is not mine. I'm not wasting the minute. And I have timed it. It is exactly 1 minute to get that other Blessing America. So it is a 1 minute time loss if you go for it.
Yeah, very principled play from both players here, because now SÄSAE probably has enough time to recognize, okay, I've more than likely sniped on that one because Blessings of America would have been gone and gone and gone again at this point. Meanwhile, Jack's just like, I'm not even going to bother. I'm not even going to bother. Though SÄSAE taking a little bit of, unless I'm forgetting my Blessing of America routing, SÄSAE going, pivoting off, setting up a little bit more here.
Yeah, he's not going for blessings at this point. It looks like he's looking at Rolana. Maybe NPC dropped weapons perchance. There is Moonrithel over here. Although I would be very shocked to see him actually close out on any of this at the moment. I think he's just getting some setup.
Yeah, getting some setup. Also probably wants info. It's people don't think, a lot of newer bingo players especially, just they want to do things. They want to mark squares. They want to do this. But a lot of the really high up bingo players, you'll see they just want to see what their opponent's up to, especially if they haven't marked anything in a while. Because you can assume that you got the snipe on bowls. Because Jack didn't go for Blessings of America. Nice fight, by the way. But if you assume that and Jack's just going for something else entirely, then you could lose. You could lose a whole lot of advantage here. We'll go back into
what's
this
really
other
interesting
fight.
is he doesn't know if Jack gets this fight first try. Curseblades marked very quickly into the match. He could assume a death happened, right? We're low skidoo. Curseblades are the blenders of the DLC. So it is a situation where if he gets this mark very, very fast, SÄSAE could assume, hey, maybe he had a death to a Curseblade, right? That is a thing that could have happened. He doesn't know that it was a snipe.
Exactly. But we're going to see SÄSAE grab Blessings America to the surprise of no one. He let enough time pass that he could feel pretty cozy grabbing that. And here we'll see the Curseblade Assassin's mark from Jack. I think Jack playing
Which is nice. It blocks 2 lines that SÄSAE squares are part of. It blocks the diagonal and blocks that column 5.
Which I would be surprised if it weren't part of Jack's plan here, because Blessings of America, like you were talking about, SÄSAE was ahead on. So Jack just being like, this diagonal blocks 2 threats at the same time and guarantees I don't get sniped. Let's grab that. Let's get our head back into the game here.
Also, we're seeing Jack make a bit of a map play towards backside. There are squares here in backside, like dupe. Like shields are incredibly to get quickly once you have access to backside. And you have squares such as the giant hand that is backside. So I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if we see Jack saying, I'm going to waste some time, maybe not go for the 2 hippo square and take backside, because there's more associated with doing backside and getting good value along the way.
Well, at least getting
Also
set up
very,
that backside access
very
because
good
of
play.
because of the pivot out. And I want to take a second here. Say had a really, really, really swag looking jump down into Rolana right here. I just had to point it out really quickly while it's on my brain. But we'll go into this Rolana fight. I think Rolana makes a whole lot of sense here. Just being like, okay, you're gonna block my 2 lines. I'll just block your line down here. Get a really, really good start towards Remembrances. Oh no! And if my eyes don't deceive me, I see Jack running towards Rolana as well.
So some of our chatters might be familiar. I know that a couple in chat have watched the first Jack versus SÄSAE game. It was the very first game of this entire tournament. And it spiraled downwards in SÄSAE's favor because he got a Rolana snipe as the second square. So we could be seeing a complete rehash of this, of Rolana getting sniped from Jack as his second square again.
Yeah, Rolana has to be Jack's biggest hero right now.
Good news, they're both using the lightning backhand blades, which is very, very good against Rolana.
Yeah,
however, Rolana already has half HP here. And as long as SÄSAE doesn't die and no big issues happen here, he should find himself in a very comfortable position.
Oh, and
I jinxed it. Caster Curse in the favor of Jack. We're going to see both of them enter the fight again at roughly the same time.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I will point this out. Jack has been practicing Rolana hitless.
Ooh, that is good to know. And to be honest, SÄSAE getting and SÄSAE pivoting out.
SÄSAE pivots out.
Probably the right call.
He calls it that Jack is going to take this play. And he sees the line with Rolana. Maybe he's looking at, potentially setting up some things to make his own threats on the board.
Yeah, and obviously, like, as far as our perspectives go, you're going to be like, oh, but you were still ahead if you just went right back in. SÄSAE has no way to know that. This is absolutely a very principled and just safe play from SÄSAE to assume you might get sniped here, because this is a really strong swear.
I really, really like what he's doing here by going instantly into Queeline. He is seeing that Scorpion Stew, Queeline is a very important play to get early, right? We talked about that at the beginning of the match. Because Mesmer exists, you want to get that sooner rather than later. And the one who marks Queeline dictates the, flow of the game in regards to how Mesmer and the Scorpion Stew gets marked. So he's taking the time to do that now and preemptively get a block if Jack goes Rolana. And if not, he at least has the Grace set up for later that he can hop into Rolana when Jack marks a square.
Yeah, very, very, very good safe play from SÄSAE here. I think even though greeting it probably would have won him the skirt, because it also looks like SÄSAE's weapon setup is a little bit better. Jack is definitely doing less damage. SÄSAE's not the kind to take that risk. Very, very clearly, SÄSAE's demonstrated that he's going to make smart plays that benefit him, guaranteed.
Very, very unfortunate, but Jack should be able to take this back. He did not want that backstab. I'm calling it now. He wanted to get a couple free hits, probably a running R1, which would reposition him in front of Rolana to take the front side riposte. For the players that might not be aware, the front side riposte actually does do more damage than getting the backstab riposte.
Yeah, and it's a surprising amount more. Unless you're comparing like directly, it's kind of hard to notice. But you should, if you haven't, try it sometime. Go do a backstab on a boss, get the next riposte, and do a front side riposte. It's quite a bit different.
Rolana does not do her big bad RNG. Generally, what you'll see players do on this phase transition is move backwards, which makes her do the blue sword attack instead of the big fire. And that magic attack, you can stand right in front of her, and the second 2 of her attacks will not hit you, which is a great punish window.
You could see in SÄSAE's fight, though. You can get memed. I was going to say when SÄSAE lost the fight, got a little bit robbed because he went for that tech. And I don't know if it was just a pixel off or
you
whatever.
have to stand right in front of her, and you have to dodge the first 2 attacks.
But both of them getting a little bit robbed here, because Rolana going for a fire attack, in my opinion, did in a place that didn't really make sense. But, Rolana thinks for herself.
Very clutch dodge here.
Yeah.
unfortunately eating a little bit of damage. But yeah, when you're at low Skidoo, normally you could kind of script the phase 2, but she's a menace in phase 2. She's an absolute monster of a boss, and now his stagger is likely worn out. He's in a position where he's going to have to just dodge all these attacks, and he's doing a very good job of keeping up pressure. Yeah, managing stamina is the best part. He's not taking unnecessary dodges, and you'll see him stand still a lot and just weave in R1s, because R1s eat way less damage than R2s. Stamina, sorry. I'm not sure if I said that right.
Yeah, and oh my gosh.
Very clean
Very
fight
clutch
of Rolana by Jack there.
He had some moments where it definitely looked a little bit sketchy there, but man, just never backing down, never losing that focus. We're going to go ahead and go into this Queeline fight, because why the heck not?
So Queeline can be a bit of troll. We saw that SÄSAE is low Skidoo, no tallies or anything really set up. Queeline is a absolute menace.
I'm pretty sure that lingering part 2 of the Ash of War let Queeline true combo into that jump attack, which is just disgusting. And that's going to combo, yeah. Obviously, Queeline being Queeline. I still don't think SÄSAE's going to die here or anything. Just going to get a little meme for a tiny bit here.
I wouldn't put that on you. One poke into an Ash of War or an Ash of War into a jump attack can definitely mess you up. Like, I put mad respect on Queeline. I've seen Jack die to Queeline with like 10 Skidoo before.
Yeah,
he's a monster.
Queeline just doesn't care. He'll keep going. Nice kill though.
Very good kill by SÄSAE here. Nice.
Yeah, blocking that bottom row again, playing safe and principled, starting two bingo threats of his own with the diagonal and the column 1 here, while blocking that
also,
very
I will
scary
point
row
this
5.
out. Jack was going for the Ash of War, but he immediately quit out because Queeline, if you kill the second Queeline, drops an Ash of War, and there's an Ash of War at the Queeline and Bellerat. So, looks like he might just quit out to reset its aggro. But like, I will say, like, he's knowing that SÄSAE is in a position where he probably has 2 Ashes of War.
Mm-hmm. He shook his camera.
He knows that he grabbed 3 path with bowls, so he could easily close this out at any time.
Yeah, he shook his camera a little bit, which makes me think he's like, yeah, this probably isn't my square anymore. I wouldn't be surprised just to see a dupe here, or at least the grab the grace.
I think dupe is very important. It blocks out that diagonal.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we know that SÄSAE hasn't killed Remembrance yet, and based off of what SÄSAE is marked, Jack knows that he has not killed Remembrance yet. So we could see him grab the grace and then just continue onwards. Or he could mark the square, say, hey, I'm back section, and then use the knowledge that he's given his opponent to do something else.
Mm-hmm. And which either or is the right play. But Jack, understandably, hanging on to it a little bit. There's no... With the squares that are marked and everything that's on the board, especially...
We're going to see Ash of Wars get taken away from Jack when he pivoted towards it. I think he didn't make a bad call. I wouldn't be surprised if I see him go for Legendary Spirit Ash here. Yeah, we might see a race towards Legendary Spirit Ash, which I think is a bit of a misplay here because of what I brought up earlier. He's going to be behind.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to be fair, it's a big call here, right? There are so many other squares on the board SÄSAE could be pivoting towards. But, I mean, like we were saying before, SÄSAE's likely going to go for a really, really strong, fast play here. And I would call Legendary Spirit Ash a really, really strong, fast play right here. So maybe Jack not realizing that he's playing right into SÄSAE's hand.
Yeah, but Jack's put in an unwinnable position where it's like the fastest square for him to get this block is Legendary Spirit Ash.
Mm-hmm.
And it does block his other line. If he gets Legendary Spirit Ash, he could be put in a situation where it's like, I need to go Jory to either get Sword of Light and Dark or Big Mouth Imp. But then my opponent could also just start working towards NPC dropped weapons, which sets up his diagonal. It sets up his row 3.
Yeah, and I
think 2 to 4 just matters with building the board.
And I think as Jack, you're also like, yeah, I might be behind, but do you really want to be pushed into Light and Darkness or Big Mouth Imp here?
No.
And that's gotta be the mindset Jack's taking. Like, this race is too important to lose because I can't. you can't spend your time doing either of these squares when so much more is out here on the board to get faster. So I can't like,
Also-
while from one point of view I see why Jack maybe shouldn't do it, I don't blame his reasoning here.
Yeah. I wanted to point out a cool little tech that SÄSAE is doing here. You notice that he drank his physic while he is on Torrent. These golem archers are aggroed onto you while you're running through here, and he has the green spill crystal tier in his physic, which will make his stamina recover ever so slightly faster, which means he'll be able to dash on Torrent more reliably than Jack. But Jack also did the same tech. So
Man, talk about square optimizations between these two.
square optimizations, they are optimizing it so much that they are drinking their physic faster. Also, Jack started farther behind than he is right now. He has caught up some ground on this.
Yeah, Jack
So
was
if he
some sort of
optimizes this-
pathing or something.
Even a good like chest jump to get the slightly faster opening animation or jumping off Torrent at the right time could swing this in Jack's favor.
Oh my gosh, it's so
But it looks like
close.
it's going to be SÄSAE.
Oh, yeah, misses the
Wow.
chest jump. Man, what a brutal snipe.
This is
What
a very
Absolutely
unfortunate
brutal
situation.
snipe. Yeah. It's and it was close enough that you can't even say it was a bad call from Jack. Jack made up the ground. Just if he gets the chest jump there, he probably wins the square, but what
It
can
was
you do?
very close. It's a situation where I think that Jack made a bit of a misplay by seeing Queen Line and Bellerot and then disrespecting the Ashes of War. If he saw the Queen Island in Bellerot and then immediately went towards DLC Summon, I think he could have been in a position where he won that square and he's in a safer spot. He got a good double block.
Very true. I wonder if it's just one of those things. There's so many ideas on the board, you just don't see one of them, and it happens to be the one that pans out from SÄSAE.
Yeah. SÄSAE is wasting a little bit of time backtracking here for this rune. I think he wants just a little bit more money. We're going to see him quit out here in the tent again so he doesn't get destroyed.
Yeah, I thought that Mesmer Soldier, because the quit out was a little slow, I thought the Mesmer Soldier might have some things to say, but SÄSAE does get it.
Looks like Jack might be looking here at the NPC dropped weapons and getting that, because we don't see him positioning towards Big Mouth Imp or Sword of Light and Dark, which could be very dangerous if SÄSAE decides to go Hippo and rush it.
Yeah.
Last game, Jack kind of disrespected the bingo threats that SÄSAE put on the table, and maybe SÄSAE's looking at that like, hey, you know what? Last game, I put on some bingo threats, and you didn't go for bail. You didn't go for thrusting shield only. So this game, I'm going to just full send it.
Yeah. Which if, oh my gosh, if SÄSAE makes that call, I mean, and the scary thing is that a bad call to make? Not even close, because you got 2 hippos, which you can get this hippo done and then get your second hippo and Rao done. If you want to do that,
I think we'll see him kill the hippo.
Mm-hmm.
And if we see him mark any other square, we might see him lock in and say, you and NPC drops weapons. You've showed 0 progress in Shadowkeep. I am ahead now.
Yeah. And Rao is not even the right one to think about now that I'm saying it, because you just go kill one of the hippos on the way to like Big Mouth Imp, for example, if you want to, or you kill the hippo on the way to Sword of Light and Darkness. It really doesn't matter. So scary stuff here coming out from SÄSAE.
But also, it's important to think of bad grab
immediately. Oops.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting situation of how he plays out. I imagine that he's going to get the Sword of Light from Rao just because Burn the Ceiling Tree, PCR, 2 hippos. There's a lot in that general direction that makes me say, hey, go do that. But also, if you want to point this out as well, there's 2 catacombs on the board, and you could get the Sword of Darkness from the Death Knight catacomb, which could potentially end up being faster.
Oh, that is an interesting point.
I've yet to time it out exactly on which one's faster, but considering they have the Grace over by Bulls, they're in a position where you don't even have to run Rao whatsoever. You just use the Grace and the map progress you already have set up, while your opponent is now rushing to Rao, and you're not wasting your time running there.
Interesting. I wonder if we'll see Jack go for that counterplay here. Jack fighting ADM down here. We'll go ahead and go dual screen. I think Hippo's a little more exciting, but
ADM definitely has his moments. ADM is not a free fight.
ADM having his moments right now.
We have 3 different versions of ADM. So we have hyper aggressive ADM, which we're seeing Jack, very easy to punish, always comes charging forward, doing big attacks like this, constantly keeping up the pressure. We have the version of ADM that is extremely passive, backsteps, hops away from everything, which is super hard to punish. And then we have dumb ADM, who just kind of stands there and lets you beat him up.
Which is always everyone's preferred ADM in these sorts of competitive.
Yes. So we saw a very aggressive ADM there that was always going for attacks, but Jack knows exactly how to punish it, and we get a very quick kill.
Yeah.
Because it means, I think we got a heal skip out of that. Like, I'm not even sure if I saw ADM heal.
I didn't see one either. So we get clean, good fights out of both of them here. Very nice to see. Very nice to see.
I'm very curious if SÄSAE completely ignores Shadowkeep and immediately goes down now that he saw... Well, no, because NPC weapons hasn't been dropped yet. So I think he might just grab the Grace up here to be safe. But if he wanted to aggressively position himself to get a bingo, he could have just dropped down.
What is this skip? This is why I like watching DLC bingo. The things that I don't even know what are happening.
Got to point out in chat, someone saying Aggro Dragon Man versus Ancient Dumb Man.
Yeah, we're seeing SÄSAE make some. Is he just gonna go straight to Rao? I mean, I guess why the heck not?
Rao does give you that pressure towards Sword, plus the pressure towards Hippo, plus the pressure towards Ceiling Tree. There are lots of things to do in Rao. And like I said, the only thing that would make me personally as a player pivot out of the Rao play is if I saw him mark 3 NPC dropped weapons before killing Hippo.
Right. Which is
so ironically, this slightly slower mark by Jack here could potentially get him into a situation where SÄSAE doesn't pivot fast enough, and maybe he can snipe away Big Mouth Imp if he went for it. But it looks like he's going for shields.
Okay.
Or at least grabbing the shield while he's down here, because there's no reason not
getting
to.
one prepped. You don't want to have to come back, right?
So I'll be interested to see how this plays out. I think Jack has to go for the Big Mouth Imp here. Like, I think he sees all the value in Rao, knows that his opponent's probably ahead in Rao, and he has to make the bold call to go for, I can set up the Sword of Light and Dark and Big Mouth Imp down here. And most players aren't going to just full send Big Mouth Imp.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can mark Big Mouth Imp, and if he stays dark for a little bit of time afterwards, then SÄSAE never knows whether or not he's actually finished and killed Jory. Because Jory itself is not on the board, but 2 Catacombs is.
Oh, good point. Yeah, very, very interesting play we're about to see here. You're obviously a little bit scared still if you're Jack, because what if SÄSAE goes for the insane play of just doing Big Mouth Imp first? Obviously SÄSAE's not going to do that, but like that's the scary part about SÄSAE putting this much pressure on this type of a bingo.
Like, if he pivoted out here now after seeing that NPC weapons dropped, he could do it and he could win by bingo. But I think we might also see him just play it a little bit safer and say, there's so much in Rao and I know you're not here. I can get a majority win just off of this.
Exactly.
No, he's going for it. He pivots out.
No way.
He pivots for it.
No way. Unless Jack makes the right call here and goes to counter Rao progress, just to say, like, I mean, I have to make a call here, and this is the scarier call to make, but I'm going to make it. Unless that happens, I don't see how Jack stops this.
Yeah, this is a very tough situation where SÄSAE made a extremely clutch call when he died to Rolana. If he didn't die to Rolana there, he wouldn't have made this play.
Yeah. Yeah, if he didn't die, if he didn't pivot out, set up some other stuff here, we wouldn't be seeing this at all. Weirdly enough, the death kind of setting up one of the grosser bingo lines I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just got some running sections right now. Nothing huge.
It's also interesting to point out that this is a gross bingo line. Like, Jack could have prevented this.
Oh yeah.
He saw the bingo line form. He saw Queeline get marked. He could have pivoted out for Legendary Ash Summon, but decided to keep going for Ashes of War. Then he saw Ashes of War mark, knew he was behind. He could have just gone and killed Hippo or set up Jory by running the rest of the way to back section, so that way he would have that. Mm-hmm. And he didn't make those plays. He didn't make those calls. So this does feel almost as a bit of a misplay on Jack for not respecting that SAE would go and full send the bingo.
Yeah. And SÄSAE doing a little bit, it looks like here. He's going out of his way into this
yes, this is definitely correct.
The sword, of course, because like you're gonna grab the sword while you're here.
Yeah. I also think it's fine by SÄSAE here to grab a Grace near Jory and not even full send it and just say, hey, I have this Grace. If I see you mark anything else, I will win the game.
Mm-hmm. Which, knowing how principled and patient SÄSAE likes to play, would not be surprised to just see him basically double prep the entire map and then just be like, all right, it is now a game of I wait and see what Jack does. Of course, yeah, because obviously, we see if SÄSAE goes for this bingo line, he just wins. There's literally at this point, because Jack has gone into the mode of, yep, I gotta go for Big Mouth Imp here, which is probably objectively the correct call, even though it's not going to pay off for him. SÄSAE doesn't know any of this, so wouldn't be surprised to just see him grab this Grace and go like, all right, what now? Or maybe get Hippos and go, all right, what now? Either or. Wouldn't be super surprised to see.
Yeah. Actually, Hippos isn't the worst call in the world, just because Hippos puts him into this interesting situation where Jack does not know if he is in Rao or down here.
That's
Jack
true.
knows where all the Hippos are, so he knows that he could be here, he could be in Rao. He knows that he's probably not in South because NPC dropped weapons was his. But yeah, it looks like SÄSAE is going to go for that Hippo, which if Jack does full send the Big Mouth Imp, SÄSAE is letting himself get sniped here.
Yep. Which
he doesn't know it, but it does set him up very nicely for a majority play.
Mm-hmm. And which wouldn't be the end of the world. I still wouldn't even be surprised to see SÄSAE just go. Oh, nice, very, very, very fast kill there. Yeah, there's the mark.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have been surprised to see SÄSAE. Yeah, there he goes. Just pivot out and go do something else because of the fact, like we said, SÄSAE can just get this square, which gives Jack no information at all somehow, and then just be like, all right, now we just wait for Jack to do anything.
What's also absolutely terrifying is that you have a situation where SÄSAE could have continued running Rao, kill the Hippo here, and still give Jack that same information, but with a much earlier mark.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack maybe could have pieced together, hey, maybe he went Rao instead of down here, but the running time to Rao, nothing's been marked there. And it takes just as much time to run all the way down here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, timing-wise, it's probably safer to assume that he did the Hippo down closer to Jory.
Yeah, Jack can't risk it, and so he's getting himself kind of.
SÄSAE gets tree skip memed a little bit there.
This is what Jack needs, though, because what he's losing now is time. But once he gets this block, he's in a much better position because he does have a threat of his own. Mm-hmm. Well, I brought up the Jails Mesmer play. He can completely ignore Scorpion Stew because he has a block, and he has better access to DLC sorceries and Sealing Tree. He has access to Dupe to block the row 1, right? And he'll also get the Giant Big Mouth Imp block on row 1. He could get the Mesmer block because he has a feeling that since SÄSAE is at Queeline and Bellerot, he won't just lose that value on Mesmer. So maybe he could make some good plays and set up a strategy to come back.
Yeah, there's potential for some sneaky stuff, and you got to do something sneaky like that. The only way Jack comes back into this is putting pressure on a bingo line, right? Either getting SÄSAE to waste time to block that bingo line or just outright getting the bingo. If you just go for full on best play to get majority right now, you will lose. So we're definitely seeing Jack go for something like that after he gets this block.
Also looks like after the death, SAE does pivot over here and looks like
Nice
he's
skip.
positioning to Mesmer. So we're going to see a hand skip here. This is a very interesting skip. Keeps you from running outside. For those that don't know, outside there is a Fire Knight that is shooting spells at you from like a mile away, and a bunch of bats that can randomly clip you with screams from a mile away. And while this doesn't actually save you a ton of time, it saves you a ton of heartache.
Yeah, a lot of safety there. And both players getting there. Jack getting his skips through the catacomb very cleanly, and SAE getting his hand skip very cleanly here. Will SAE go for the really cool any percent speed run skip where you jump onto the moving platform? My guess would be no, because that seems really unnecessary, but it would be cool.
Well, we didn't see Jack go for it last game, so it'd be really awesome to see him go for it here. SAE go for it here.
It'd just be cool. He's not breaking the tables, though, so my guess is no. Nope, going for the item. So, going for what is probably objectively correct and not going for one of the most dangerous and hard to land skips in the entire game.
Now, I will say, I always like to jump on this moving platform so you could start running on it, because you can get that jump quicker and start running while it's still rotating up.
We just want to see this big mouth imp die really quickly. There we go. Nice block. Keeps himself in the game here.
So looks like he is going to go ahead and continue on to the Jory. I think he feels a lot safer now that he has that block. But I think Jack has to know that that was not a snipe.
Yeah. No, Jack's got to know at this point, because
the thing is that nothing's been marked by SAE since Hippo. And so that was 4 minutes ago. That was marked.
Looks like it, yeah. This Mesmer is going to be painful for
I don't
Jack,
think so. Yeah, the Mesmer is bad. However, he does get locked out of a square. SAE gets locked out of a square by doing this.
Oh, shoot,
so
he does get locked out of
Jack wins the square when SAE goes for Mesmer.
Well, and I was thinking you get a bingo blocked and a bingo threat. But you're right, he doesn't get that bingo threat because Scorpion Stew's not on the table after this kill.
Yeah. Mesmer gives him nothing. And so you get yourself in this interesting situation where, yeah, you get Mesmer and you block that bingo. Good job. However, you've made this now a majority game, what you failed to do was actually extend your lead. There's no extra bingo threat. You're not actually gaining a square here. It's going to, even though the scoreboard won't reflect it, it's going to be 7-5.
Yeah, but
in the meantime, Jack is marking half of a square here in the catacomb.
You know what Mesmer does do here, though, that I didn't quite take into account? If I'm not mistaken, Mesmer shuts down the board.
Yeah, it's a full majority play by SAE if he gets Mesmer.
Yeah, so that is super. I don't know why I'm not full screen here. My bad, guys.
That's the real reason why he's going for the Mesmer here, is he wants this to be a majority game.
Yeah, and at this point, the majority game is going to be a tough cookie to crack for
yeah. We talk about this not
Jack
necessarily
here.
Being like, this might not be the right play, but like SAE knows what he's doing. He is calculating this. He's saying, I'm never going to close out on Scorpion Stew anyways. I don't want to go back there. There's no bingo threat. There's no value in it. Let me get Mesmer, which works towards Ceiling Tree, works towards Radon, works towards my Inner Limb Progress. It gives me tons of levels. And that's, I believe, his first remembrance. So now he could dupe. So now Jack has to close out on the dupe square.
Yeah, Jack just has to take this, which isn't the worst news in the world for Jack, but you obviously want to hold on to your prio as long as you can. But Jack recognizing the perfect time to cash in.
Yeah, it's a very interesting situation where I think we're seeing Jack making objectively good plays and SAE is setting them up as traps, and Jack's kind of just falling for it.
Yep. Yeah, he's not playing different enough to sort of like compete with the like more obvious, really, really, really strong plays that SÄSAE's going for. Which, it's scary to make those kind of plays because they're typically not as fast. But when you're kind of getting beat down in the there's the Duper Remembrance Square in the
SÄSAE does the
quote
same
unquote,
sketchy tree skip.
yeah, again he goes for it, and again he gets it after dying that one time. But we don't have to talk about that. But
so he's making progress and pivoting. Oh my goodness, he's gonna go for the lion and not realize that he's locked himself out of Scorpion Stew.
Oh shoot! There's nothing else in Ballarat, right? This is.
I think he realized it. He was running, and he's like, "Oh wait, I killed Mesmer. I've locked myself out of this square."
Yeah, he's going back to the Graces immediately.
We thought that he knew. He had to have known. Like, it's right next to it, has been part of his diagonal. No, he did not know that he locked himself out of that square.
Yeah, he didn't realize it until just then, because there's no other reason to be in Ballarat right there.
It's so easy to miss things like that. Also, I will point out, SÄSAE made some good progress in Rao, and now Jack has to catch up on that. He knows that Sealing Tree is a threat, PCR is a threat, Devonia's Hammer is a threat, sort of Light and Darkness is a threat. Like, it's all threatened right now.
Yeah, we're seeing
Jack's
Devonia
best
right
way
here.
of getting caught up is Devonia trolls SÄSAE a little bit, and he sneaks that sort of Light and Darkness away.
Yep, that's what he's got to do. Oh my gosh! Speaking of trolling, Devonia doing a little bit of just that.
Devonia gets the kill. This is what Jack needs to come back. I caster curse SÄSAE twice for you, Jack. You're welcome.
The double caster curse. No one's prepped for
this
it.
is all I can do. I'm out of caster curses.
Yeah, that might be the last one you get there. SÄSAE's probably just going to go right back into this. SÄSAE has no reason to believe that Jack is going for this for any reason whatsoever.
Now, if Jack does very, very clean tree skip, maybe the Devonia fight isn't super clean. SÄSAE is juiced up, though. So this Devonia could die very quickly, and he'll still be ahead. Mm-hmm. So Jack has to play this very well, and we have to see SÄSAE play this very safe, which, after a death like this, he very well might do.
Yeah, it looks like he's already...
he has to get the dodge here.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, he goes for the jump. You have to... It's a big AoE. There are two ways to dodge that move for anyone watching at home. What she does is she does 4 jumps in the air. The first 3 are cones, and the last one is a big circle around her. So what you could do is you could dodge by rolling into her, because they spread outwards away from herself. So if you roll into it, you roll through the spikes. Or you have to... You can jump it, but it's very, very hard. Because if you jump backwards, you're jumping the spikes at the right time to not hit you, but you're jumping into the spikes as they travel outwards.
Yeah, very tricky call to make there. It's a very tricky move.
SÄSAE does correct his mistake this time, but if Jack decides not to go for Devonia here, but if he goes for Devonia, this could be very troublesome. He would need SÄSAE to die yet again. Yeah, this could be very dangerous.
This is
this is a very stally move by Devonia that can absolutely crush you if it clips you. Mm-hmm. So
you must sprint.
He has to take this back, but no.
Oh my gosh.
And remember what I talked about earlier, like if SÄSAE gets this kill here, he's on the front run. He's running now towards the Sword of Light and Dark, which he set up already. So now he's 1 second ahead yet again. And being 1 second ahead makes a huge difference.
Yeah, we're just getting shades of the last game where Jack is making good, solid, like principled calls, but just isn't making the call out that SÄSAE's just ahead. Oh no,
this is
his double
tragic.
Jump gets snagged up somewhere in that jump, and Jack falls to his death. That hurts. And in these races where we're talking about where 1 second makes the difference, maybe this is a blessing in disguise though, because Jack was walking right into another
snipe, and now he knows he will not get it. So he's like, what do I go for? Now, what's really interesting here is it looks like he's going to close up on shields. So he's like, I've made this prio, I made this progress. Let me just get shields. I'm surprised he's even fighting. Mm-hmm. That is a grab the shield and let it kill me.
Yeah, absolutely. Just let John Fire Knight do his thing. It's all right.
Oh, also, we did see backside from Jack, so we might see a really, really cool shield skip here from Jack that I'd love to show off. I'm not sure if we ever saw this skip in like Domo's season 4, So this might be the first time that some of our players are seeing it.
And Shadow, no, there are no more threats for Jack to bingo. Unfortunately,
There also aren't a ton of bingo threats for SÄSAE because the Scorpion Stew is already blocked out. He cannot get that square, and I think Jack is very aware of it. So seeing that line with like the row 2 and the column 4, he's like, okay, I don't need to care.
Yeah,
it blocks 2 of those lines by SÄSAE, and so SÄSAE only has column 2 and row 4.
SÄSAE still technically has column 2, row 4, but he doesn't have column 2. Jack is going to get shields.
Jack's going for the
doubt
shield
about that.
I'm going to point this out, the skip that Jack's going for real quick. So what he's going to do is at this cage, you drop down, and before you pull the lever, these 2 little animal bodies here, the carcasses, you can jump on the horns of the one and then jump onto the horns of the other, and that is where the shield is. So you're making progress towards back section while also getting the shield very quickly instead of having to climb up and getting no progress.
Yeah, beautiful little skip there. Beautiful little skip. I'm glad you highlighted that one. That was fun to show off.
I always like showing off these new skips and techs that we find. Like, for example, the Egon, I didn't really get to show it off in the last game. A lot of times, people, when they're going for the Egon armor set, you know, he has a big Grail's Roar. It knocks you back and knocks you down, and that loses you time. If you just hold the block button, you can actually block and get a guard counter from that attack, and it does basically no damage.
I did notice that. I did notice that happening earlier. I didn't make mention of it because I don't know what's new tech, right? I don't know what people have been doing for forever, but very cool stuff.
We affectionately call that Daniel tech. There is a member of our server, Dan, who found that out, and big shout out to him for finding out that block tech.
Yeah, let's go, Daniel.
It makes that square way less miserable when you're not getting knocked down.
It's so fun to watch all these different techs that get invented and created by these players. Yeah, SÄSAE going towards south, but this could be good news for Jack. Jack's in south.
Yeah.
If he's going
I'm very interested to see what he's going for here. I'm not sure how much is actually in south to be claimed. Obviously, there's PK. There's technically jails.
Yeah,
but
Deathrite Bird.
I'm not sure if, like, I think we're going to see a Deathrite Bird play here to kind of signal to say, like, get out of here. South's mine.
Yeah.
And Deathrite Bird's like the fastest one to pick up, but Deathrite Bird is so incredibly dangerous. We can see a couple deaths at this current level. And SÄSAE's a little bit more juiced up, but Jack still is yet to be fully juiced. So he's got some good skidoo, but he hasn't killed Mesmer or any big Membies yet, and he hasn't popped the Rolana Membies to give him that extra money. So not having incredibly high dex might make it so that way that slightly slower kill could kill him a couple times.
And for anyone who's like confused, like, oh, what are you talking about? People kill Deathrite Birds all the time. Deathrite Birds aren't that scary. The Deathrite Bird isn't typically what people are scared of when they're going for this kill. There are grave birds all over the place on this map, and for the most part, there are ways to deal with it and make it fairly safe. But every once in a while, it's just a grave bird decides, nah, it's my turn. It's my turn to get involved in this fight, and then just like one-shots you out of the corner.
Speaking of the grave birds, while we're walking up here, I'll go ahead and explain it so we could focus on the fight while it's happening. What I think Jack here is going to do is we're going to see him go to the first death bird on his right, kill it, and then he's going to leash the Deathrite Bird into the corner where that one Death Bird was, because there are no other birds in that vicinity. So this one here, he's going to go up to it and kill it, and now he's going to kind of leash the Deathrite Bird into this corner of the map. And this will make it so no other Brave Birds aggro onto him.
Very, very smart tech here. Also, just want to say really quickly, nice fight from SÄSAE, getting ADM down. We can see Deathrite Bird stalling right off the bat.
Yep.
A little bit more.
But this is a little bit okay. What he really wants is one of these attacks that bring him forward.
Yeah.
So now we're going to see him fight him just straight up and try to keep him in this corner. So if he backs up too far towards the other areas, you're going to see him try to push him back into this corner.
Very good, smart stuff. And of course, you know, going for that Sacred Infusion because you want to do good damage to this guy. Ooh, yes. Getting a little bit bullied right there. Got a little frame trapped by the RNG flames on the ground. But but should be okay overall.
Also important to know, like, this Deathrite Bird does tons of damage, and the Frostbite procs are huge. So a big part of people being scared isn't the Deathrite Bird. It's if you get clipped by the fire in any way, a single hit will kill you.
Absolutely.
So that's why you want this Deathrite Bird to die as quickly as possible. Just avoid any of the trolls.
Yeah. Speaking of trolls, he's going to fly away here and stall a little bit. Important to note while we're doing this, nice torrent tech, by the way. That was beautiful.
Very clean.
SÆSAE just pivoted out. SÆSAE, I think, just wanted to be able to say he can contest with South, not be completely hopeless there. He's running towards, looks like, back section-ish direction.
So I'll wait for the fight to finish out, but I do have an interesting thing about SÆSAE reading the board that I'd love to bring up about late game plays.
Okay. I like it. It's just getting...
This is such a clutch fight. Can't possibly... No cursing? Come on, give us some good RNG, Deathrite Bird.
Which he's
stalling.
not. I mean, he's just stalling up a storm. And now he's just, like, hanging around there. And there's another... That one spreads fire on the ground so you can't approach. Okay, this
should be a better
gives
attack.
You some space, yeah.
As long as he doesn't get clipped here, this should be a good death. Very good
There we
death.
go. Jack clutching it out. Not getting the best RNG, but working with what he got and getting the square mark. Jack making his way back into this game, I must say.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing some of the running sections here. Players are probably going to be making a lot of decisions for running. As a player, when you get to the point that SÆSAE is at, right? It's 7-9. This game is not over, right?
No.
Jack can pull this back if he gets very clean fights. Now that he killed Deathrite Bird, that's tons of juice that he has. He's going for the sorcery up here. I think what we're going to see is Jack is counting squares that are his, and SÆSAE is doing the same. So SÆSAE marked Mesmer, right? So he's probably looking at burning the Sealing Tree and Radon as quote-unquote his squares. He has Prio on that. What else does he have Prio on, though, right? He doesn't have Prio on jails because we know that Jack's right next to a jail. He doesn't have Prio on catacombs because we know that Jack killed the Big Mouth imp. So he's in at least one. Ulcerated Tree Spirits, Jack's backside, right? We know that because of dupe. So he's looking at it and he's like, okay, what squares can I get to win, right? So the squares that are his are just two. Burn in the Sealing Tree, Concert Radon. So he needs two more squares and he's thinking, what can I snipe away from Jack here? So he goes south, and as soon as he sees a south play, he's like, okay, south is dead. Don't go for PK. That's not going to be how I win. That's too far of a run. So he's probably thinking, I'm locked out of Scorpion Stew. Sealing Tree Radon is probably mine, so we'll hold some Prio on that. What if I make my way backside to get Ulcerated Tree Spirits and potentially Sorceries, potentially Giant Hand, right? There's still 3 squares, so if Jack gets 1 and SÆSAE gets 2, he can then rush Sealing Tree Radon to close out on his last squares.
Very good point. Yeah, very good board analysis there. It's going to be interesting to see how they approach it. I think SÆSAE making the right call, getting some back section progress here. Because you can't.
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting call on how do you read the end game? Like, what do you do to actually close out the game?
And remember, as SÆSAE, you absolutely cannot get Stew anymore. You have to get. It is effectively 8-9. Right now, because there's no way to get that square. So you cannot get caught with your pants down. One snipe is going to make the difference here. So that's why you're seeing SÆSAE, I think, prep so much and set up so much, because he's got to have his options open to him to keep this, what is effectively a 1 square lead.
And this is where Jack was ahead. Like, we saw him behind a couple squares, and I mentioned with the Mesmer play why that was bad for SÆSAE is he's locked himself out of a square. That was 1 square that he had massive Prio on. If he had Prio on Stew, Sealing Tree, and Radon at this point, right, he would have been in a much better position because now he only needs to mark 1 more square. But because he has to clear out 2 squares, 1 key snipe by Jack can do it.
Yeah.
Now, we know that Jack's going for the wrong square here because SÆSAE is not going for Ulcerated Tree Spirits. However, Ulcerated Tree Spirits are 3 bosses. Like, you can, well, they're not bosses, but you can kill one of them, pivot out.
Yep.
Wait to see what SÄSAE does while getting another square. Then, when you see what SÄSAE marks, you could decide, do I close out on that, or do I go work on something else?
Absolutely. And the call that SÄSAE is making here is I must say, a pretty committal one, because it does look like he's going towards Fingaroon's Deo, which is not a short walk.
What I'd really, really love to see from him here is, we know that Jack grabbed the sorcery in South, right? And so 4 sorceries has a couple routes that you could do. The South route, pretty good, because there are sorceries along the way. The Ulcerated Tree Spirit down here does drop a sorcery. So this isn't just like, oh, I'm going for Ulcerated Tree Spirit. He's probably grabbing the sorcery here, getting part of that square, and now he's going to grab the other 2. The only way SÄSAE can get sorceries here is if on his way to the Giant Hand, he uses the Bell by Amir to buy the 4 sorceries, because he sells 3 DLC sorceries if you blow a horn, whereas he only sells 1 the other way. I think we're going to see Jack make his way. Oh, is he going for the rafter? No. Okay, sorry. I think he's going to drop down to Mesmer here. Yeah. And instead of going to Mesmer, there is a sorcery down here that we're going to see him do a little jump down to. Good skip through the rafters here. And yep, he's looking for the sorceries. So if he closes out on sorceries here, he has progress towards Ulcerated Tree Spirits too. He's making a very good call here, because he knows that SÄSAE needs to get squares, and by doubling up. Also, will say, very interesting that I want to point this out. If you look, Jack just Memory of Grace with 53,000 runes.
Well,
players don't care about money at this time.
Yeah,
right?
He certainly tried to anyway. He was ready to throw it away, though. He didn't care.
Oh, he's going to get the Rolana sorcery instead of even running to Amir, maybe?
Yeah,
I'm not sure if this is his 4th or his 3rd one.
Is he marking? Oh, he's counting. He's counting. There's 4.
He's counting. That is 4.
Yeah, he wanted to count really quickly. And now,
I thought that was
effectively, we're tied.
We are tied at this point.
So obviously this is very Giant Hand, but like
he'll get Giant Hand, but Jack here is going for Catacombs. He's going to clear out the Catacomb square, but he's making a smart play. He's saying, I have prio on Catacombs. Why am I going for this? I think the best thing that he could do here in this sort of situation is count what squares are his, right? He knows Scorpion Stew is his. That will be his 13th square. He has zero reason to go for it ever, unless it's his last square.
He will not do it.
He's made some clutch blocks, but he's probably looking and saying, what else do I need to block? Giant Hand blocks that last bingo threat, right? I'm back section. Why not go there? Now, he doesn't know that SÄSAE's on his way there right now, and so he's wasting a bit of time. But he took away the sorceries play that was also back section that SÄSAE could have gone for.
Yeah. And hopefully, SÄSAE's far enough ahead that I don't think this is going to be too brutal of a snipe. I don't think Jack's going to be wasting all the time here. Obviously, like, from our perspective, you're like, go finish Ulcerated Tree Spirit or something.
No, I think the correct play here on this board right now is, I think you legitimately say, Sealing Tree Radon, you can have it. And I think you start working on jails, right? If you get 1 jail underneath your thumb, you can start sending that. That's like one of the few things that you have equal prio on. Both of you have the same setup for jails.
So you can count on, if I'm doing this now and SÄSAE is working on any sort of his prio or anything like that, jails is just like guaranteed mine. Now, of course, you could kind of say the same. Oh, Jack being smart. He's just,
I love this. He's splitting it. I don't like the fact that he's going for Ulcerated Tree Spirits. I really would rather see him do a jail, because I think that's the one square that he really needs to get prio on, right? He has Tree Spirits. That's his. He has Catacombs. That's his. So that would bring him up to 11. Right? Scorpion Stew, his is 12. So what's your last square? He could be thinking PK, right? Maybe that's why he doesn't care about jails. He's like, okay, if you go for jails, waste your time on that, I can get PK or something.
Yeah. There's the mark from SÄSAE. Nice fight.
But this is also a reason why I think that jails would have been a very important mark for him to get, is Catacombs is now his only block. On that row.
Now it's pretty much just a speed race, though. Is I think probably why Jack is scared of.
Also, I think this is a very incorrect call from Say for going for burn the ceiling tree, because he knows that Jack will not go for that until he marks Scorpion Stew, or Say's now ahead by 2 squares again, right?
Yeah, I wonder if you're just thinking this because it's fast, and you're thinking.
It also could
pressure
be
on.
waiting for Jack to mark something to know what to do to counter it.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's no mystery here as far as this mark goes, right? Whether you get it now or later, both it's common knowledge to both these players that this is Say's mark. So maybe, like you said, just being like, all right, he knows I'm going to do this at some point. I need info so that I don't get sniped, because that's how I lose this game. Let me just see what happens. Let me just see what happens. Use my prio not to just hold on to it as long as possible, but to give myself a little bit of info.
Yeah. The only downside is if Jack decides, all right, kill the tree spirit. You marked giant hand. Now let me go jails, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me mark. I don't know what play he's going for here, actually.
Yeah, what is down here? What does he need to be doing, TLEA skip 4? You don't go PK this way, right? There wouldn't be a nice
no, because he already has prio in this.
Yeah, you just go from go from Deathbird and do that. Oh, there's an ulcerated tree spirit down here. Is he?
Oh, he is closing out on ulcerated tree spirits.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, I was so dumbfounded that he's actually closing out on that prio. Like, I don't know why you close out on this. Like,
I think both players just thinking now's the time.
Maybe he grabs the Grace and pivots out here that he saw burn the ceiling tree marked. Maybe he's afraid that he showed backside. I could be getting like destroyed here without realizing it.
Yeah, which would be really, if he grabs this Grace and pivots out, that'd be really smart, because and look at that, look at him go. You're not giving, you're now not relinquishing this information, right? Say at a loss. You just look at Say bouncing back and forth on the map. It's because this is a really hard point.
It's very hard.
Get sniped. You cannot get sniped here. You will lose.
This is a very interesting situation of players are closing out on their prios, which I wouldn't have necessarily seen. Like, if I see ceiling tree, I don't think, oh yeah, my opponent's going for catacombs next. Right? I see my opponent mark ceiling tree and I'm like, okay, let me go for jails, right? That gives me the opportunity to at least get one under my belt and then run to PK, because that's what you really need to get. And if my opponent goes dark on my way to setting up the jail or setting up PK, I think PK is actually the better, because it's easier to pivot out.
You're right.
Like, you start running towards PK and I see, okay, my opponent's been dark for 2 minutes. Now go close out on the prio, because he hasn't marked anything.
I think so. I think Jack's just scared because of time. Like, at the end of the day, even though this is a close race, Say is that square ahead. And if Say just goes for fast stuff, you're worried you don't get a shot, right? You don't get a shot at this mind game of like going out for your prio and everything like that. And if Say's closing out on his prio like he is, yeah, you're a little spooked. You kind of think like, I'm just going to lose if Say just decides to go fast. So I got to do this. Jack might be getting spooked into this sort of like incorrect play here.
Well, here's the last piece of information that I think really sells it for me is Say has entered his first jail and Jack has not.
Pivoting, but Jack pivoting again.
If Say gets his 12th square and it is not PCR, how does Jack get PCR?
Yeah, he doesn't. He loses at that point. And I think that's why you were right on jails being the next call. But I think Say being smart and just being like, I'm just going to start marking stuff fast to be like, you got to go fast as well. Otherwise, you're just going to lose to pure speed. And man, what a tough call to make. Jack, I think, being smart-ish on like getting all of this set up beforehand. But like you said, just
he set it up very clean.
Yeah.
It's just he didn't realize, I think he miscounted his squares. Like, he needed prio on one more square. Mm-hmm. If he just got prio on jails, he could have done it. But I mean, also he doesn't know what Say's working on.
Yeah, that's where this all comes down to, right?
I think the panic on the Ultimate Tree Spirits was giant hand because it showed back section, whereas jails doesn't show any of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Jack getting hit here a little bit, but that's just that's purely for the greed here. You're just trying to go fast at this point. You don't
Yeah.
care that you're taking a bit of damage.
He wants to kill this tree spirit as fast as possible to move on to the next play.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, he's
Nice
hoping
mark.
for deaths.
Yep. So now you pretty much, I think, yeah. Is he?
And
going
now he's going
Catacomb?
for jails.
Oh no,
He marked
is
his
going for
prio on the
jails,
ulcerated tree spirits, and now he's going for jails.
which is the correct call in the wrong order, unfortunately, for this board.
Yeah.
Because unless Say dies in a jail a bunch of times, we're looking at a
I
wrap
believe
here.
we're seeing him go into the labyrinth jail. So this guy we did mention earlier in the game is a absolute blender. So he can die, but I don't think it's possible at this skidoo. I think he's too juiced up.
Mm-hmm, yeah, just look at this damage, and if he gets hit here, like look at that damage. It's just not very much anymore. You're not even that
He
scared.
can
of the
kind of
spin
just
move.
sit there and say, "Okay, hit me. I hit you harder."
Yep.
It is a stat check.
And now he's a throwing dagger away if he had one, but he's just gonna wait for him to come.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
boop.
look at that absolute no HP bar.
Yeah, it just doesn't even matter. Okay, that's the first jail down from Say. This, if he just goes right into the second jail, doesn't prep anything else, which it looks like he's doing, we're gonna see a pretty tough situation where unless Say over mind games, overthinks it, and is like, did Jack spend this whole time setting up PCR to compete, and then over mind gains himself out of it? This is looking rough.
Yeah.
Or Say has an owns incident, which is
At this
impossible.
point, he needs to have many owns incidents
Yeah,
to
he
lose
needs to
because
have the
Jack is
owns-
just entering this first jail.
Yeah, well, Say's
All
already
this running
done
that Say
one.
is doing right now, Jack's gonna also have to do. And like we could look at the time, right? Like that square was marked. Let me pull it up for exactly. Oh, sorry, it's not a square. That was what? At least a solid 40, 50 seconds ago?
Yeah, it's been almost a minute since he's finished that first jail. So
So we're in a
Not
situation of like, yeah, it's a minute. A minute is plenty of time, except Jack's only halfway through the jail.
yeah, Jack's halfway through one jail, and Say is effectively not halfway through, but getting through the second.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how intense bingo is. If Jack does this in a different order, this is one of the closest games of all time, and that just goes to show how much there is to think about. You can't like underestimate even something as seemingly little as order of the squares you complete.
Yeah. And as simple as like we have plenty of people who've played base game, and they might look at base game a little bit differently than DLC. And DLC here, you see that like Jack is behind by 3 minutes, which feels completely impossible to catch up on.
Mm-hmm.
That's not always the case in something like base game, where that doesn't feel as impossible because there's so much more running and setup or other things you could do along the way. Whereas in this case, like you get all your weapons tallies, everything set up from the get-go. So once you start moving, you don't stop.
Yeah, and really quickly, SÄSAE like literally standing on the edge, like floating in the air on that pot there for some reason that counted as a land though. So he'll take that. He'll definitely take that.
Yeah. And we're now in a situation where, man, this run is so long through Bellerot jail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there goes the labyrinth. Go back.
So the labyrinth is down, and I can confirm that Jack is 2.5 minutes behind Say,
which is really bad. He gets to his jail faster than SÄSAE got to his jail, but the time difference is too much. It unfortunately does not matter.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Now,
see
if
an owns
Torch
fight.
Skip helped you get to the boss faster, then maybe, but
Right.
it doesn't.
If only. All right, we're gonna go in on this big owns fight here. This is a boss that can give people trouble, but these two players are just incredibly well practiced on. So
I'll let the owns expert talk us through this fight.
yeah, we're just gonna see. There's a couple of techs here that you can do if they come up, but at this damage, you just mash R1. When you have that much damage, just mash R1. It doesn't matter. We're gonna see that.
That
mark
wasn't
here.
even fair.
Yeah, Owens doesn't stand a chance here. Yeah, we're gonna see that mark here. Jack's in the hardest position you can be in, where you know you don't have any PCR. SÆSAE's prepping stuff, which is probably technically the correct order. You don't know that Jack was doing the
You don't know that he was doing jails, so
yeah.
he's just kind of setting up stuff. And I mean, it would be unfortunate if he gets catacombs or something.
Oh, and if
But
Jack's
I would imagine we see him complete one catacomb, then potentially run to PK, and then run to PCR if he ever sees Jack mark something. But the problem is now he's in this situation of, I don't know what Jack has prepped in this time, because like that was a long time to be dark. You could assume it was a snipe, but 5 minutes of being dark after marking ulcerated tree spirits. And that was after an additional 6 minutes of being dark before marking the tree spirits.
Yeah.
So that's 11 minutes that he could have been running around doing something.
And this is a strange call. Unless Jack forgot, I think getting Scorpion Stew right here is just the obviously incorrect play. Because he got Mesmer done before Scorpion Stew. So it's not like it's hidden knowledge that SÆSAE is locked out of that, right?
No. If you mark if you mark Mesmer at all, the Hornset Grandam dies.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot get the Scorpion Stew from her.
I'm not sure if Jack is just saying, like, I think this is it. There's no reasonable way I come back. Let's put on a show and do Dancing Lion, or if he just like forgot. But either or, it's going to be pretty brutal here that he's doing this square right now.
Yeah. This is a very awkward situation where Jack has put himself almost in this position of going for the wrong calls. I mean, obviously he doesn't know that he went for the wrong calls. There's a lot of darkness involved in these. If he went for jails, we saw how long that took. That was a 5 to 7 minute square that SÆSAE just sunk into that. And something that people might not think about, killing Mesmer and Romina at this stage of the game only takes 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
And that's me fighting the bosses. It took me 3 minutes. These players are better than I am at fighting these bosses. They probably have it optimized to the point where Jack could be in a situation, if he has the graces for Mesmer and Romina, he pops them in 2 minutes flat, and then he's on his way to PCR. Absolutely. And SÆSAE might be respecting that. And he's like, I gotta prep everything. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, it's a very good point. But like, Jack kind of just throwing, I think, any game plan away, because now he's already thrown any advantage he had on Catacombs pretty much away. Obviously, he's got Darklight cleared out a certain way and is closer to Darklight. But he's technically one Catacomb behind, so that's really bad news for you, because you don't have a
they're tied
advantage.
Because he did end up killing Jory.
Oh, you're right. He did kill Jory. No, you're right.
He finished out the Jory fight, and so it is the longer Catacomb, and he has the grace in the Catacombs. So I'm not sure I mind him holding out on Catacombs here, but like, you cannot give away PCR and Radon.
No. Well, that's the thing, right? Is even though he's still ahead on Catacombs after this, what does Scorpion Stew doesn't do anything to SÆSAE. It doesn't hurt SÆSAE in any way.
SÆSAE is like, oh no, I lost a square. I lost, half an hour ago.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, oh no, the square that I don't have is now officially marked.
Yeah. Also, I will say this Death Knight is a bit of a troll. Backhand blades, surprisingly not super great against him, because decent resistance to lightning and fairly tanky.
Right.
Also, you can micro stagger with the Great Katana. So this is one of the few fights where Great Katana actually does shine. I will
That's
say
a good
though, once
point.
you're at like 80 decks, it doesn't matter.
No, exactly.
Backhand plays destroys everything at 80
You're
decks.
gonna kill everything. We'll go full screen with this lion fight though, because this is a very, very tough boss in most cases. Obviously, he's shredding because he's probably Skidoo 9 trillion at this point or whatever. But
I'd also like to point out some really awesome tech that Jack has developed for Dancing Lion. If you notice, he's locked off for this fight. He does not lock on at all during the lion fight, and you'll see some really awesome positioning that he's able to do during the lightning phase. So he kind of destroys it, but as you could tell, if you're not locked off, you can get underneath the lion while he's doing his lightning attacks way easier, which is the big problem that people have with lightning phase. If you're locked on, it forces you around the lion in a way that always puts you in the lightning. So if you lock off, you're able to stand much closer, hold tighter, and not get hit by the Arrhenius lightning.
dang, that's really cool tech. I'm gonna try that now. That's super cool tech. And you saw Jack more or less ignoring lightning. That was the only other phase we saw, and you saw him just be like, whatever. You do what you're.
All right, so we're going to see a Scorpion Stew mark here, which is going to make it 10 to 12, although it's going to be 10 to 13 here very soon if SÄSAE gets his Catacomb.
I do believe
Now, he's
Dark
just now
Lich-
entering, so maybe Jack can snipe away, and if he gets a couple more key snipes, he can do it. This is just another situation of if he just didn't go for Stew here, he was in a real position to win.
Exactly. Imagine he's just marking, and there's the mark. But imagine he's marking Catacombs right now instead. Like now, SÄSAE's wasted all that time doing Catacombs. Granted, it's still not good because SÄSAE's in the position of being able to say, okay, he marked literally anything that wasn't PCR. I will now go kill PCR. So it's still not great, but
Well,
yeah,
looks like he is not closing out on Catacombs. I think he was hoping that SÄSAE would respect it too much.
Yep.
And we've gotten to a point of the game where it's like he saw Scorpion Stew marked. He knows he wins Catacombs now. Like, he might as well just full send it.
Oh, misses the skip just by a little bit there. You can't be that far to the
Doesn't
left,
get the quit out, but there
unfortunately.
is a Stake America. So
Yeah, shouldn't matter. I mean, Jack's unfortunately made the wrong call due to not really any fault of his own here, but he has made the incorrect call. So even if he messes this up twice and Jack grabs a Grace and pivots to Catacombs, it's still not going to happen, unfortunately. Oh, he's getting a little bullied by this imp, though. Knocking him off the ledge.
yeah, he's trying to go for a little tech where you just drop down. I think he's assumed like, hey, at this point, I've lost too much. Let's just take the safe route and, drop down here. I cannot die to this skip. So
yeah. You're going to lose more time by dying one more time to that skip at that point than just going around there. So no ladder skip, but we saw one. Jack did one for us, so we still got to see one.
Yeah. Very, very clean game by SÄSAE, I will say. He set plenty of traps for Jack and then pivoted at the correct times to go for the right squares.
Mm-hmm. I think Colossal Hand was, in hindsight now, a really, really solid call from SÄSAE.
Yeah. I will bring up something that I very much enjoy doing, and it's something that has kind of developed specifically with Season 4, is leapfrogging your opponent on squares. So in base game, you might not see a lot of like, oh, there's Red Wolf Renala, let me skip Red Wolf, because you have to kill it, right? There's not a ton of this. But in the DLC, it happens all the time where you can skip over squares. Mm-hmm. So we saw Jack go for Devonia, get sniped on that, then get sniped on Incants as well, because...
Say what?
Or, like, you have all these situations where you're getting sniped on squares. Oh, sorry, it's not Incants this board. It was sort of Light and Dark. But like, if he just leapfrogged the Devonia's hammer, he could have gotten the sort of Light and Dark, gotten the block, not have to do the big mouth imp.
Look at that
right? Like,
mustache man. But
he could have been in those sort of situations where he leapfrogs over these squares. SÄSAE did leapfrog over the squares. He saw the Ulcerated Tree Spirits and said, we're going to ignore that. He saw the sorceries and said, we're going to ignore that. We're going to go run to the farthest square all the way in the back of Hinterlands, and I'm going to get the giant hand, which is going to be the square that I get, because Jack will get the stuff along the way.
Mm-hmm. And it paid off in spades. That
Yeah.
because you sort of steal this prio that your opponent assumes that they have. We're gonna go ahead and go full screen for what is no doubt gonna be a backstab loop, but this will close out the game. No
Mhm.
PCR, unfortunately, which sorry fans. When you're playing,
Would have been really awesome to see a PCR race at the end, but
yeah, when you're playing for grand finals though, and you've got an opportunity to not bet everything on a PCR fight, as a good player, you're probably going to take that opportunity.
yeah, maybe we get lucky and Jory trolls a little bit here, but it looks like we're just going to have very, very clean backstab loop.
Yep.
Jory does have at least one more attack before he teleports here. So if we get another cancel on the teleport, then it's basically over because we know that, oh, he got the teleport off.
Yeah, we do have the teleport
Big
off,
summons.
so it's not over yet. If Say gets trolled, he will. If he dies, he will be in danger of losing Catacombs. Not he
Yeah.
won't have lost it because the
Teleports
Death Knight
away
is
again.
still a really long
He's
fight.
got to be careful. He has the damage, so he should just be able to absolutely rip through Jory here, but it's not free.
And there's the backstab. That'll be it.
Backstab there in the get up animation. Depends on how the fire behaves. Yep,
And
gets the kill.
There it is.
GG to our DLC Bingo Club Open Final winner,
SÄSAE with yet another very, very, very solid, very principled, good majority win. SÄSAE just proving that like really solid play is very hard to beat, especially when you're doing it that fast. We got all the GGs in the chat. If someone would like to stop the board really quickly, we'll do a little bit of discussion. We'll ask the players when they are ready to be undeafened and unmuted, and then hopefully we'll have a nice little chat with them as well.
Yeah, I went ahead and put a message in chat to see if they're ready to go. I just wanted to go ahead and bring up the latter half of this game. Very cleanly played by SÄSAE here. What I brought up earlier where I was talking about counting squares and what squares are yours and how to go for it and at what time, I think SÄSAE did really good. He made the call that he needed to snipe away two squares, and he leapfrogged over the giant hand. And when he saw that he wasn't closing out on jails, he just went for it. He at least like went to go full send it because he had to get at least one more square in order to get the burning of the ceiling tree and the PCR. And I think the reason he went for the ceiling tree when he did was probably to just say, PCR is mine. I get this one square. This one square is mine.
Yeah.
And so we see this really good play out at the end of the game where he sees and respects, hey, Catacombs, you can have that, right? Ulcerated Tree Spirits, you can have that. And PK, that's such a long run, go for it. And if you want to snipe away Radon from me, be my guest.
For sure.
And so I think we get this really awesome play pattern of him knowing when to go for what play at what time and just setting up really well the end game.
Yeah, it's really just been a masterclass too of knowing one of the bigger differences to me was knowing exactly when you want to cash out your prio. Because yeah, you could hold on to Ceiling Tree for longer, but like you said, this is more effective to claim prio on another square too, because like you're not there's like theory and everything like that, but like at the end of the day, you're playing against another player. So if you're communicating with them, PCR's mine, that's a whole lot. And on top of that too, you get additional info of like, what is my opponent doing? I'm cashing in on prio, I'm claiming this other prio, and I'm seeing what the heck you're up to. And yeah, just a masterclass at all of that. And also just pure cleanliness. I think that's probably been the biggest tale of the tape here for SÄSAE, is there was nearly nothing there that SÄSAE didn't do first try with incredibly clean lines and just micro optimizations all over the place. It was truly a masterclass to see just beautiful, beautiful, clean gameplay.
I will say, did say that he's ready to join in for post-match discussion.
Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and bring Say in here then. Hello, hello, hello. Congratulations, Say.
Thank you.
What a set of games from you. Just like I have to say, very clean and very principled play the entire way through.
Just close your eye on that blind spot on the elevator at the end, and then I'll agree.
That was we giggled a little bit. You still had it, but like that was
I was scratching my eye, and then for some reason I hit the trigger, and I'm like, oh fuck!
Off I go. I thought you saw something in the air. You just had to take it out really quickly.
Yeah, exactly. The mosquito was flying by.
But yeah, beautiful stuff. Before we go into any deep analysis, I just want to ask, what was your general game plan for this last board? Did you have something that you just knew you needed to go for right off the bat?
I wanted to get killing as fast as possible, which is why I went bowls. Even skipped a grace for it, just grabbing that because I didn't like most of the collection stuff. Like, if I didn't get bowls, I would have gone for the Curse Blade Assassins. So essentially, what Jack and I did were just, I think we had the same plan in case it went south. And when I saw that Blessings of America, that place was still open, I was like, yeah, let me just go towards. If I'm sniped, it's not like he has more map than me. So that was the opening I wanted. But yeah, I had a little bit of a noopsie with Mesmer, forgot this too, and when I ported to it, I was like, oh, what a dumbass. So
yeah, that was about
at least I was right. Yeah, at least I was like, I'm in front. I just need to keep the pressure. But I was scared of the third column because if I lost Mesmer, I didn't want to do either the Detroit bar or the jail with the map I had. I would have to run so far south just for that.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, almost got caught with less map when I went back section. Like, I was splitting south and back section, and when I saw the bird, I was like, okay, let me full send something south back section. Chose the end, so yeah.
Yeah, which was very, very smart. Literally the only objective mistake I think we saw you make was forgetting you were locked out of Scorpion Stew. But with that, I think Jack is ready to hop in here. So I think we'll go ahead and bring him in as well. Hello, Jack. GG.
Yo, GG's, my goats. Holy shit, what a game.
Nah.
Oh, man.
I cannot tease you with being the undefeated god any longer.
No, it's undisputed.
Dang.
A 2-0 victory too by Say. Very, very clean play.
Yeah, it was. And this board was very, very exciting to watch how you two were interacting.
It was tricky. It was tricky. Like, I assumed we were racing for Rolana, and I died to her like towards the end of the fight, and I was like, okay, he's gonna get it because I wanted to do her and dupe, and I was pretty sure you had the same idea, but you did not mark it for a while, so I was like, okay, maybe you did the opposite, like progress back and then do her for the dupe eventually. So I had to kind of go queen line, and I was like, this two is in the same diagonal, so it's gonna be so good as a combo, and then I locked myself out as two. So.
Yeah, we did have the same thought. I was in Rolana for a while. It was just like a really slow fight. I just wanted to be patient with it, but I kept on getting like clipped by stuff that I don't normally get clipped by. So it was just slow. But yeah, after the Curse Blades, I just prepped a Grace towards back section and then immediately went back for Rolana. On my pathing into Shadow Altus, I was looking at potentially stopping at Reprimand to get access to the cache, but because I lost balls, I figured we were kind of in the same mindset that like we both have a weapon online, we're both ready to start killing things. The Rolana dupe was like the best play on the board, but I did want some insurance that I had like that column blocked, and then something
Yeah.
on these diagonals.
Like that fifth column, this is why I think Balls was the best play, because that fifth column, you do not want to have to deal with that later in the game.
Yeah. Did you take any like goofy optimizations on your balls routing? Because I felt like it was a little faster than I expected.
I skipped Scorch Rune, grab immediately the backhand blade and the 3-paths cross, and I had already leveled all of my starting money because of the 10k and the 7.5k on the bridge. I could just upgrade and go straight in, so I had
Okay, I think I sat down
no
one more
reason
time than you
to.
did.
Yeah, so I had no time to waste on the level. Like when I rested the Grace just to teleport, I put the Skidoo as well, and I went in the fight immediately. So.
Yeah, you definitely sat down one less time than I did.
Mhm.
Oh man, Ashes of War, Legend Ash, both pretty big snipes.
Those were brutal.
Catacombs, pretty big, like huge snipe. Jails also huge snipe.
Yeah.
Devonia, soft snipe.
Yeah, I wanted to full send at least one of them, and after that I was like, okay, let me just might as well send the rest. And if you snipe me on the other one, like Catacomb, I was like, okay, let me just go straight to Consort because I don't want to run all the way to PK anyway. So
yeah, I had the same thought basically, just like because I had the Catacomb done from Big Mouth Imp, so I figured you would let me sit on that one a little bit longer and potentially full send Jails. But I did feel like I needed to clean up those tree spirits because of the hand. I was like, there's no way you want to run all the way back section for just one square. You're gonna want something else out of it. So I don't know if that was a snipe or not, but
I did not do the tree spirits. I honestly just ran all the way back section just to get at least one square, which was the end. But in my mind, I was gonna split in between south and back section. So I killed EDM, pivoted to go towards back section, and while I was making my way towards back section, you killed the Deathright bird. So I'm like, okay, I will not do the rest of the run just for PK and maybe a jail that is not even faster than the other two. So I just full send back section at that moment.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, you asked me about the stew, like why did I do it even though you were locked out?
Yeah, I realized after you need to do it before Mesmer for Radon.
Yeah, I need to do it to tell you that like you can't just safely go kill Radon, and then the idea was to snipe you on Catacombs, and I was in the Death Knight fight when you marked it, with a Grace towards PK, so I figured I could get both of those, and then basically my Hail Mary once I lost Jails was to have you skill issue to Radon and allow me to catch up, but I know you can kill Radon, so it was definitely a Hail Mary.
Yeah. You said Ashes of War were a snipe. Which one were you going to? Because I grabbed the one near Queen, of course. I grabbed the Savage Lion Claw. And since I had already attempted the Relana, I was like, the fastest one that I can go to and port because no combat is Wingstance.
Yeah, I was going to do that one as well.
Wingstance
basically, I had two.
Immediately ported for the Legendary Ash Shaman.
Yeah, I had the one on the way to back section, which gave me a hell of a time. I've only ever really grabbed it with the Great Katana, so I didn't know you needed two R1s at my power level to kill it, and so I hit it and it teleported, and then it just kept on teleporting around, and I was chasing it and getting aggroed by wolves and stuff, and it just took me way too long. I don't think I win this square either way. I was kind of counting on you to sit on it a little longer than you did, but you just bull rushed it.
Yeah, well, I kind of realized that first column was heavy pressure with all those together, and I think if I full sent the Himp, I could have bingoed you, but I did not know if you had any progress in any place, so I just went down and killed one of the hippo over there. It was not even a Rao hippo, it was the one of the hippo near near
I knew that that's what you were doing, because like why else would you like do anything else? Just like show me that I'm in the, or show you show me that you're in the area, and then I have to like freak the fuck out and figure out how to deal with that column. But yeah, the Legend Ash summon was a heartbreaking snipe. That was like, I didn't get off torrent correctly. Like I ran into the chest and then like stutter stepped and like it wouldn't let me get off, and then it like ejected me back towards the front door, and then like you marked it as I was opening the chest.
I dismounted a bit early just to make sure it does not happen to me.
I wish you guys could have seen that from our perspective, though, because SÆSAE was actually a decent amount ahead. Somehow Jack did. I didn't even notice exactly what routing it was, but Jack did routing good enough to make it almost dead even. If Jack had especially gotten chest tech, like had landed on top of it, it probably would have been his square at the end of it. But
Yeah,
that little goof, like he was talking about, just
I was
barely gave you the
debating.
lead.
I was debating just grabbing the grace and pivot to do something else just to see if you respected it, and then I was like, oh, no, I should not. So
Yeah, you did the right thing.
Yeah.
I probably did the wrong thing by chasing there because of that thing that we always talk about when you
Yeah,
like
the
trigger a
2-second
race.
delay.
Yeah. So
were actually a
it was
little
cool that I did
surprised.
make up some time, but yeah, I knew
Sorry,
as I was doing it that I was going to get sniped.
I was just curious on the Ashes of War. As a player, I would see Bowls and Queeline and Bellerot and know that they have two, and potentially the third one being very quick to get to. The reason you didn't just leapfrog ahead and try to go for the Ash for the block, or did you
Balls
think
does
that you
not
were
have an ash
ahead?
though.
No, Bowls gives you towards 3-path cross. You
Okay,
probably
that's
have
what you
that
mean,
grace
okay.
for the Savage Lion's Claw.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Queeline shows that as well. Like
Yeah,
Queeline
yeah.
is very fast ashes, but it was mostly just I was hoping he would sit on it a bit for map, like to get caught up, but he already had the map, so he didn't need to sit.
That's fair. Yeah, that was like one of the big questions we had about the game. And then also the last couple squares. Wander and I were kind of counting who had prio on what. And we were kind of surprised that neither of y'all even like attempted to prep jails until you full sent it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, since it did not make much sense for Jack at any point to have done one, maybe like it would have been very early when he did one, and that would not make much sense. So that's why I sent that one, because him marking the imp kind of shows he has at least one catacomb.
Yeah.
But nothing about the jails. Like there was no pot, there was not the torch, there was nothing to indicate that you would want to go inside the jail anyway. So that's why I sent that one.
It was basically the type
first.
of late game where there was just like too much stuff to split progress on, and something had to just get done. Like it's just like get something done, split your progress between other things. I felt like jails was the most at risk, so that was the one that I wanted to full send. Just at the and it turns out that it was correct. I was just I was really counting on sniping him on tree spirits. That was basically my entire late game plan. Like get one done with the sorceries. Then when he like marked hand, it's like okay, clean up tree spirits, trigger the snipe.
Sorcery. Okay,
That's where a little bit of like the commentator third person view, kind of like caught us. I think confused us more than it helped us, because like from our point of view, we're like, why the heck are you doing tree spirits right now? This isn't the play right now. But when you put it like that, yeah, if you're just trying to get that snipe and trying to, because you have to get a snipe pretty much guaranteed to equalize the game.
I was like pretty sure it was gonna work out too, because like I expected him, if he just like psycho ran back section, to have at least drained the water on the way, with the idea being like, oh, I'm gonna trigger a tree spirits race by jumping ahead of you and marking giant hand, and then I'm gonna port first with the water drained, and then I'll be able to beat you to tree spirits. And my idea was, haha, bitch, I have one dead for my sorcery. Like, and then like I get the snipe, and then I win jails, and then I can split progress to the end.
The idea I had going towards the end was just before the end, port back and talk to Emir to go immediately sound an horn after for the DLC sorceries. So I was not eing Giant Hand and Tree Spirit. I was more looking at Giant Hand and sorceries. That way. So like I knew you had a few, like you had Rolana, so you had back section, so you can grab the one under Mesmer as well. So if I ever wanted to contest DLC sorceries, I had to sound the horn for that, and immediately after the Giant Hand, it does not take that much time. So
right.
But you marked the sorceries. I think when I arrived at the Grace for the end, so I'm like, oh, okay, no need to go to Emir, I'll just kill the end then.
Oh, okay, so you didn't even waste any time. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. No, I think I had very fortunate timing this game, to be honest.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I'm getting a little used to being on the other side of that at this point.
Sorry?
Nah, it's all good, man.
Not sorry.
I did want to shout out from a third player's perspective. SÆSAE made some extremely good calls to go for squares at just the perfect time. It set up a lot of snipes on Jack, or put him into positions where it was very difficult for him to come back. So very, very clean play and very good meta game calls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
like-
the most impressive part about both of your guys' plays. Like you were making calls that if you could only see like the board and you didn't know who you were going to play against, that I think people would be like, huh? But like playing against each other, it was like
Yeah,
it was
it's
just
mostly
a battle
about-
of wits. It was so cool.
It's mostly about timing and like educated guess. So
Mhm.
educated guesses, but yeah. I feel like in our end game, Jack, it's always I must not fuck up. Like what happened in group stage was pretty much the same. Like, but my fuck up was silent. But yeah,
Yeah, I just got to figure out how to
turn.
not get sniped by you in the early mid game. Like as soon as I get that like
Be
fixed,
greedy, man.
then we got
Be
real
greedy.
games again.
Yeah.
I was pretty damn greedy. Like
Yeah,
I chased on Ashes of War and Legend Ash. I was doing my best to cut
Be
into what you had going.
He was almost too greedy.
Oh man.
No, it was
But yeah,
from the
this-
third player perspective. I think if you go back and watch this game, you'll see a lot of what we mean when it's very good meta calls, making pivots at the right time and like second snipes.
Yeah,
this
just
game was
so
very
close.
fun.
It
This
was so
game
close.
was very, very fun though.
It was a very good watch. I was kind of surprised to see SÄSAE take this 2-0, but it was very close matches. Like a second.
Not really. I've been telling you guys, like this guy's cracked. Like everyone's like, "Ooh, Jack." Blah, blah, blah. No,
Ooh,
Say is the man. He's the goat.
Yeah.
You're both the goats.
Nobody
Yeah.
listened to me. I've been shouting
Yeah,
it for months.
I don't believe you. But yeah, like just
SÄSAE is a
flip,
very quick player, but you are too, Jack.
flip
Don't
two
disagree.
jails, and I think
Exactly.
you're able to get this one. Like
Well, that's the whole thing.
I mean,
like,
you
if
still have Radon in the pocket. Like I have very little Radon progress. It'll take me
Yeah.
ages to get there. But yeah, I
But-
mean, Catacombs, Jails, if they go my way, I'm in good shape. But
yeah.
or go back even further. If Legendary Spirit Ash goes your way, this
Yeah.
board is insanely different because all of a sudden Pepe or Jack, you have no reason to like go for Big Mouth Imp that early, and it just changes
Yes.
up the whole thing.
Yeah.
So like even though like maybe the square count isn't the closest in the world, it's just a lie.
Closer than last game.
It's just straight up the square count's a lie.
Yeah, the first game was a bit more of an avalanche. Like
yeah,
when
the snipes were a
when
bit
it
more
rains,
brutal.
when
Yeah,
it
and I
rains,
just never
it
got off the
pours.
ground.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if y'all wanted to try talking about the first game a bit.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Pull up the board again.
Let me
So I did have a very interesting question, and this was something that Wander and I really struggled with, and so I'm curious how much y'all struggled to figure out your game plan here. What we saw play out here was we saw the two-handed sword talisman, and although I wouldn't say the two-handed sword talisman was the most important square, it really did determine so much of how the rest of the early game played out. For example, how y'all went about going two-handed, whether you wanted to grab like the Kindred of Rock cookbooks, which would have been the fastest thing along the way, pure rush the two-handed sword talisman, maybe set up armor sets, set up graces for potentially other early squares like Queeline. We weren't sure exactly how y'all would think about playing that out. And so I'm curious, like looking back at this board, what was your thoughts on starting the game in your opening plays?
I'll let Say take this one because he kind of cooked a little bit harder than I did for this.
Yeah, so I did not want to absolute full send two-handed sword because if it is the expected thing and I don't have anything else than that, like, okay, maybe I have a Mortsrune Grace, but nothing else, Jack can just prep a lot of stuff that blocks it. And like that fourth row was something to deal with eventually. I liked it a lot. Like with the Queeline and Rivier Dash, they go well together because there's a lot of Rivier Dash in Belleroth. After you grab the two-handed sword, there's a two-headed turtle talisman, and even without the two-handed sword, it's quite easy from Tiolier to grab it. And then you have Invaders, which Queeline is one. You have Leatherrune, which is one as well. So I kind of wanted to at least split a tiny bit and look at what he was doing. So I grabbed Scorch Rune to grab a weapon faster after that. And I did not want to full send the Kindred of Rot. I just grabbed one because of the 4 unique type of cookbook as well. And then if he did that square, that means I'm in front for 2-handed sword. If he did not, that means he might be in front of me. I will be a bit safer, maybe grab a Grace, and then pivot to do the other one, just to make sure that I'm not doing all that run for nothing. So it was a bit more of a, if I lose one, I'm sure to get the other one.
Right.
I think the way that I read this board at the start was a little unwarmed up. I saw a bunch of rush things, and I saw what I deemed to be the best play, which was rock cookbooks into the Rao base stuff. But then I just kind of like did it, and I realized as soon as I marked Kindred of Rock cookbooks that SÄSAE, being the devious little bastard that he is probably gonna jump ahead and go get these 2 talismans in a line, center square and the turtle talisman, and then have like a grace for Red Bear and stuff, and then I'm just kind of screwed. So rather than go get sniped on 2-handed sword, I just grabbed the grace and pivoted to try and get my weapon and stuff online as quickly as I could. As well as when he did wind up marking it, I decided to route my larval tiers in such a way that I grabbed the Red Bear armor set after, and then looked to finish off armor set with invaders, so I could start working on these diagonal blocks. I thought that I could sit on the invaders for a little bit longer because it is a little bit of a weird square to prioritize so early into the game. But because SÄSAE was really interested in that row 4 with all the invader synergy, he just kind of took it away with the little bit greedier.
With having grabbed only one of the cookbooks, I could just do the rest of the routing for the 4 unique ones. So like the one in the Fire Knight in the little camp near Mort, the one on the way to Hippo, grab Hippo Grace, and then go back to Scorch Rune to grab the Greater Potentate one and grab Back and Blade. I did the Hippo at that moment, which was like one of my best Hippo ever. It was a very nice
so
one. So I had
fast.
power.
Oh my lord.
I had power for everything at that point, and I'm like, okay, let's take care of that 4th row. I have Leda prepped. I can kill Queenline and I have some Revere Dash. And while I was making my way to Queenline in Belorat, you marked the 2-headed turtle talisman, so I was pretty sure that I could greed a bit on Queenline. I killed ADM and grabbed the Dragon Spit Grace just to be ready to go NPC dropped weapons with ADM later. And port back to Queenline, kill Queenline, did Leda because 3rd invader, and double square with that. So seeing the 2-headed turtle talisman helped me to set up like those 3 squares together.
Yeah.
I was like nearly caught up to you on Queenline, so you made a good read about how long you would need. I'm surprised that you were able to kill ADM in that time, though. That's
ADM invader? No,
I
just
just
killed
the invader. I thought you meant
Yeah.
I see.
No, just the invader.
I was like, damn, that's
No.
psycho shit.
No, like I'm insane, but not that much. But yeah, no. I just killed the invader, grabbed the Dragon Spit Grace, and ported back out just to do Queenline right after. And like with the amount of juice that I had, it was nothing.
Yeah. So then once you sniped away like basically all of row 4, it was basically just like I had to go dark and prep some stuff and catch up on map because you were ahead on map, ahead on squares, ahead on threats, and it's just like, well, okay, I'm definitely hooked, but like I'll give it the old college try. And I mean, it was very obvious, I think, on this board what I was gonna do, so I'm pretty sure you know exactly what you sniped me on. But like I was not sending the incantations because I was into the column 2, and the Revere Dash, of course, a snipe, Sword of Light and Darkness.
Well, when you look at it for Rouse stuff, like Sword of Light and Darkness, Revere Dash, Incants, they all kind of go well together because split things to get along the way. So
I really needed that thrusting shield square to be like anything else, or that incant square, just to like tell
Yeah.
you that like maybe I'm interested in that top row, so I could like get you looking elsewhere other than the column 2. But like with incants being a Rao thing, the thrusting shield being nothing, it's like I can't distract you at all. Like I have nothing left to.
And at that point, I did not have to greed about any incants. Like I did not have to greed about Rugilia that gives one, greed about the Sword of Darkness that gets one. Always just grab the fastest one and continue with the pressure on it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the diagonals were nasty. Like those 5 squares, like inner squares, were very nice, and the 4 on the extremities, they were all shit for you to do.
Yeah. I was hoping you'd at least end this game with a boss to give the people a show, but you know, whatever. grab a torch, that's fine.
I did bosses during, so it's okay.
We
Yeah.
thought it was going to be okay if he did torch skip, but then he failed torch skip. So
Yes.
we didn't do that.
Yes, I almost memorized of grace at that moment.
It's just to do it again.
No, yeah, I can't even do it
the
again.
4 doesn't come back, but
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. It was also a bit of like probably Jack's not having that great of a time. I don't want to like make an extremely long play and drag it out for nothing. So
Right.
like you had nothing shown south anyway, so I was like, there's no way you snipe me on torch. So
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, very,
no,
very.
that second game was very tricky though, very nice.
Second game especially was a show, and all three very good stuff from both players. I want to do a quick, once again, huge congratulations to SÄSAE for taking the entire event after today. Not it doesn't even want us to see a game 3 because he wants to win it so bad.
I have work tomorrow, man.
Fair enough. That's fair. But very
the
very
undefeated,
the champ.
Oh yeah, that's right. Let's go.
Yeah, we had some very, very good games, very good Mayan games. I loved watching it.
Yeah, it was super super fun to watch. Congrats for making it all the way through, and a very no slouch second place from Jack here. That was insane stuff. We put on a good show for all the good people here. I also
thank you for hosting the event and commentating and all that stuff.
And big shout out to Nike for dealing with all that chaos in the groups and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that could not have been fun.
And all the other guys that played, like other people that played. It was fun overall as a tournament.
Huge shout out.
Can't wait to see the rest of what's gonna happen with DLC bingo.
Same here. Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to Nike as well for the same stuff. He did a fantastic job with the whole tournament. Built the Twitch channel that you're on. I believe him and Fox did that, so big shout outs to them. Huge shout out to my co-commentator Aggronio here, allowing me to commentate by carrying me on all the knowledge that I don't have on DLC bingo. Let me ask a lot of questions, carried the whole way. And big shout outs to Bingo Club. If any of you are watching, you're like, holy crap, these guys are awesome, I want to do what they do, come join Bingo Club. Come to the Discord. We would love to. We've got fantastic teachers. We've got fantastic people. It's a wonderful community here.
Yeah, Jack is the best coach.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. And I'm sure
Jack
Shay's a fantastic coach as well.
I am not. I keep my secrets.
Aggro, do you have any big shout outs you would like to make before we close down here?
Yeah, I wanted to give a massive shout out to Domo for his season 4. Obviously, we used the mod that oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the name of the modder, but they did a fantastic job of making the mod, testing it, building it up, and then letting us play with it. You know, like he does not have to do that in any way, shape, or form. And so we appreciate him for letting us play this format and getting the opportunity to use these mods.
Huge shouts out to Captain Domo, and I'm sure we're blanking on the name, but if you ask Domo or ask anyone in that Discord over there, or even just put a chat in this Discord, we can find the name of that modder for you. Very, 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 very talented individual. But yeah, I think with that, unless you two have any big shout outs you want to make as well, we'll throw the mic over to SÄSAE and Jack really quickly.
Just a quick little note that a little bit after Night Rain comes out and we've had some fun with it, we're probably going to look to start up a more casual-oriented DLC bingo event for Bingo Club. So if you're thinking about getting involved, that would be the perfect time. We'll look to do coaching and teaching and get everyone up to speed and then have a fun little event.
Awesome. Well, we're definitely looking forward to that. You're going to want to be a part of it, everybody. Perfect. All right. Well, GG's. Congratulations again to SÆSAE. Thank you, everyone, for watching the Bingo Club Open Grand Finals. We'll be uploading this, so if you missed it, share the VOD with your friends. We'll get it out on the Bingo Club YouTube channel. Fantastic games to everyone, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you.
GG's.